2-3 for Henry Coleman the third. 11 rebounds for Solomon Washington. Aggie 77, HCU 45. For my partner, Dr. John Thornton, for head coach Buzz Williams, for the producer of Aggie basketball in our Learfield studios today, Brian Freeman, I'm Andrew Monaco. We thank you so much for joining us. Wishing you a very safe and happy holiday season. Christmas is coming. Hope you get to spend it with family and friends, and hope that you are safe, and we will be back with you. Well, I'm going to go to Vegas on the 27th when the Aggies take on USC, but the Aggies, the men's basketball, take on ACU. That'll be on Saturday the 28th, 3 o'clock, 2:30 with the Dos Equis tip-off show. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks and gig 'em. This is Aggie basketball from Learfield.
When an emergency happens, the right ER matters. And that ER is St. Joseph Health, the official healthcare provider of Texas A&M Athletics. Serving the region with accredited chest pain and stroke centers and other specialty care services to support you however you need. Emergencies happen, and we'll be here when they do. Learn more at st-joseph.org/ER. St. Joseph Health. Hello, human kindness.
They're not just the Aggies, they're your Aggies. Customize your Wells Fargo debit card or open an account today and show your Aggie pride with every purchase. Get started at wellsfargo.com/Aggies. That's wellsfargo.com/Aggies. Wells Fargo is proud to be the official bank of Texas A&M Athletics. Copyright 2024, Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
At Schulte Roofing, we don't just see your roof. We see the home you worked long hours to earn, the memories made below your roof, the family your roof protects. I'm Josh Schulte, and here at Schulte Roofing, we don't take that responsibility lightly. Our bulletproof roof guarantee was built to protect what matters most and give you peace of mind for years into the future. Schulte Roofing, the only company voted best of the Brazos Valley 10 years straight. Visit us at schulteroofing.com.
Schulte Roofing, the home of the bulletproof roof.
Howdy, Ags. I'm Henry Coleman III, proud member of your Fighting Texas Aggie men's basketball team. For 75 years, the 12th Man Foundation has funded Texas A&M athletics, supporting generations of student athletes like me as we chase our dreams at this world-class university. Our dedicated donors and season ticket holders have been the backbone, creating a legacy of excellence, and we're just getting started. Visit 12thmanfoundation.com and donate today to help shape the future of Aggie athletics. Thanks and giggle.
On game day, there's nothing like tailgating, touchdowns, and Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Twisted Tea goes down smooth and tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. Cool, refreshing, and a 5% kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea for the 12th man. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer. Keep it twisted. Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
When faced with a disaster, the Cotton companies never fumble. As the trusted recovery partner of global businesses, Cotton is proud to provide property restoration, construction, roofing, temporary housing, culinary, and environmental support services. We're also restoring a long-standing Texas tradition as a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics and the official sponsor of the Lone Star Showdown. One call, one team, total recovery. Learn more at cottoncompanies.com.
This has been the postgame show presented by St. Joseph Health. Say hello to human kindness with the official healthcare provider of Texas A&M Athletics. This has been Texas A&M Basketball, brought to you by Coors Light. Choose chill and gig 'em Aggies. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Starry hits different. Texas Department of Transportation. Don't mess with Texas. And by Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Texas A&M Sports Network.
Ooh, what up, H-Town? Hey, how we doing?
We missed that yesterday, Blankers. We missed that. We had a caller actually call in and do it for us.
How'd it go?
He was better than us. Not you. He's better than Brian or I. I couldn't do it yet. My voice was not in a good place
your
yesterday.
voice is bad for
I
about
noticed that
30
today.
minutes or so.
My voice is great today, Blankers.
No, you got a little nasal congestion.
No, I do have a little nasal. I'm allergic to LA, I think is what it is. Yeah, and we had a caller that called in and did it. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
Did a pretty good job.
he did fine.
Did pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, but he's Blank. I'm Brian. I'm Brian behind the glass. Friday edition of the Killer Bees on ESPN 97.5, ESPN 92.5. Getaway day of the Killer Bees. Lots to get to. DJ B Anime will be joining us live from a very cold Kansas City, Missouri. Later on today, who said it? Beezy Money. Plenty to get to. The Astros have made a signing. I didn't expect this. I didn't see this coming at all. But the Astros locking up Christian Walker to a 3-year, $60 million deal. And there's a lot of layers here. We have to peel back the onion in a lot of different ways. And 713-780-ESPN if you want to get involved. 713-780-3776. What is your initial reaction when you saw this news, Blankers?
I was surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised. I thought that there was a couple different things that went through my head. If you didn't think Bregman was gone before, well, now he's gone because you got your first base sewn up and your third base sewn up. And the fact that you got him, my initial reaction was, well, what'd you pay for him? Because if you didn't overpay, I don't mind it at all if it's a shorter term deal. And then the last thing that came to my mind was one, compensation about him signing here, and two, more importantly, are they going to spend any money on the outfield? And how far is he willing to go over the tax to get at least one corner outfielder? Because otherwise, I kind of like everything that they've done.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about the plan in its entirety, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Walker, the player, I really like. I've wanted Christian Walker for quite some time, really ever since like the fading of one Yuli Gurriel. He's always been on my radar. He has some thump. He has pull power, too. I think he's going to launch some balls into the Crawford boxes, which is interesting, the makeup of this team. Like, you go from an Alex Bregman, who is a contact hitter, really doesn't have the power that he used to for some reasons that we're not allowed to talk about, but had a really good eye, would work pitches. Kyle Tucker, kind of the same way. And now you go to a Christian Walker and an Isaac Paredes, who they have bunches of power. Paredes doesn't walk a ton, walks a good amount, not a ton, and then strikes out a lot. So it's a very different dynamic of what this team is going to look like offensively. I wonder if their struggles at home is why they wanted to add right-handed power. Because, like, they haven't been good at home the last 2 years, right? I wonder if Dana Brown looked at that and be like, okay, we got to take advantage of our configurations. We got to take advantage of our dimensions. How do we do that? We add Isaac Paredes, who pulls the ball into the Crawford boxes, and you add a right-handed slugger. So I wonder if that was part of the plan a little bit for Dana Brown. But Christian Walker, specifically the player, like King of Twitch on the Twitch, is saying that he thinks platooning at first base is stupid. I mostly agree. Like, if you have to do it, there are ways to do it. I mostly agree. So now you have an everyday first baseman. Like, Christian Walker is going to be penciled into the lineup 155 times at first base. And that's great. He is a fantastic defender. He's a three-time Gold Glove winner at first base in the National League, 3 times in a row. Not over the course of his career. The last 3 years, he has won a Gold Glove. So even, like, I've seen some people, well, you know, Crane didn't learn anything from Abreu. Well, Walker's contract's going to end at the age Abreu was signed, and at least he is good on both sides of the ball. He can hit and he can defend.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I think that sometimes when you look at it, you know, whether you believe, you know, what Arizona's configurations or not, I think that the Minute Maid Park configuration, soon to be the Big Dyke, I think that those confines are going to really be conducive to
Why did you add
Christian
big in
Walker?
front of it?
Because we had the debate, and I figured if you're going to go, you might as well go all out. So, I mean, you know, it's either that or the icebox. So
very different.
Yeah. I just feel like he's kind of been a late bloomer. I feel like that, you know, he's really come on offensively. You can't dispute the fact that he is a glove over there that is going to be very, very helpful. And John Singleton, sorry, not sorry. I'm glad that Christian Walker is going to play the majority of the games at first base. I think Paredes plays the majority of the games at third base. He's also a pretty good defender, but I think that he's an above-average player. And I like the corners now on the infield.
Yeah, this no doubt signals the end of Alex Bregman.
Yeah.
Like stating the obvious there, but it is done. It's officially over. You're not looking to re-sign Bregman, and because you have Paredes at third, you have Christian Walker at first base, which, it's pretty obvious that they were off of Bregman whenever they were deep into conversations with Nolan Arenado. I guess they just weren't going to answer the asking price of Scott Boras. I think Scott Boras priced Bregman out of the Astros plans, which was expected.
Do you think? Because I was thinking, I think I agree with you. And I thought, because there was a lot of Astros fans that were giving me pushback when I said Bregman's gone. If you didn't think Bregman was gone based on the Tucker trade and getting Paredes and Cam Smith, then you got to believe when they were talking to Arenado that he was gone. And everybody's like, well, there's still a chance. I go, where's he going to play outfield? He's not going to play outfield.
Yeah.
And so the question I have for you is, do you think in the midst of all this, before they ended up pulling the trigger on Walker, they went back to Boras?
Maybe.
And said either we're going to go this way, or this is our final offer, or we're going this way, or did they just go, we got to do what we got to do?
It could have been either way. It could have been with the first option that you laid out. It could have been where 2 weeks ago Boras said, this is our number, we're not budging off of it, and Dana Brown's like, okay, well, we're not paying that. Let's look at other options. We'll never be privy to those, but it could have went either way. I don't think that the Kyle Tucker trade was a precursor to losing Bregman, because I think that they wanted to add another bat once they traded Tucker. And it could have been Bregman, could have been Arenado, could have been Christian Walker. We were talking about on the show yesterday, do you think that Jim Crane would be embarrassed and act hastily whenever Arenado rejected or I guess actually triggered his no-trade clause to avoid the Astros, and then act hastily and then sign Bregman? Because he's kind of known to do that, right? Crane at times can get a little bit hastily, right? He fired Hinch, he fired Luno after the sign stealing stuff. He needed a first baseman, signs Abreu. He needed a relief pitcher after Kendall Graveman got hurt, and then immediately signed Josh Hader. I wonder if there was anything in play where Arenado uses his no trade clause to avoid Houston, and now Jim Crane's like, well, we got to do something, and then they landed on Christian Walker.
Yeah, it's possible the knee-jerk reaction once again landed on a more Rodeo Drive type spending spree. This time I'm happy because it wasn't as extravagant. It wasn't Josh Hader of money. I can live with $20 million a year for 3 years for Christian Walker, assuming he's not going to be the next version of Abreu. And I really do feel like he's going to hit well in this park. But I say that with a little bit of apprehension because I thought that Abreu would do the same.
The reason that I like the Walker more than the Abreu, though, and I also like the Abreu signing, is that he plays both sides of the ball. Even if he doesn't hit like you expect him to hit, well, he's going to give you Gold Glove defense. Even if his defense starts to fade away, well, hopefully he's still hitting offensively. So I like that he's a two-way player over at first base.
And then people were bringing up Pete Alonso, and when you look at it, you compare the stats. He's really a poor man's Pete Alonso. He's a better defender. He's a little less in terms of the pop and the thunder in his bat. But overall, when you only get him for $20 million a year, and I don't know what Alonso's going to command at the end of the day, but I got to believe it's going to be significantly more than that. I think you did very, very well.
Yeah, I like the contract. The contract in itself. Now, the compensation stuff is, I don't really understand the plan there. I think there's a little bit of a contradiction in the Astros offseason. But when you look at this independently of Christian Walker, and you look at Christian Walker in a vacuum, I like the player. I like that he can play both ways. I like him in this lineup around Yordan Alvarez. I like him at Minute Maid Park. And I like his defense over at first base. And I like the contract. I think the $20 million AAV is pretty good for Christian Walker. I think 3 years is good for Walker. $20 million is less than I would have guessed he would have gotten AAV. And there were reports right around the time that Christian Walker got traded to Houston that he was seeking a fourth year. So the fourth year would have kind of scared me off too. So I think that the AAV is lower than what I thought it would be. And after seeing reports that he was looking for a fourth year and the Astros got him for 3, that makes me happy. Because I saw the reports that he was wanting a fourth year right around the times that the Astros were deep into conversations with Christian Walker. And I just assumed that they were going to give him a fourth year. So when I saw $60 million for 3, that's something that made me very happy. Now, I think when you look at the Astros, because I don't love looking at an offseason like one move at a time, one trade at a time, one signing at a time. I think it's very important to look at the totality of an offseason. It does feel to me that it's a bit of a contradiction what the Astros are doing this offseason. Like you trade Kyle Tucker, who's entering the final year of his deal, to try to get younger, but you don't do it for Framber Valdez. You sign Christian Walker and you lose 2 draft picks. So on one hand, you're making this rebuilding move. And then on this other hand, you're making 2 moves where you're trying to win now.
It feels like they're making moves, but there is no real grand scheme plan. It feels like it's almost seat of their pants. Like they're using analytics. They're using some logic, but at the end of the day, you're not really sure how deeply the conversations are going in terms of the big picture, because I don't like giving up 2 picks to sign a Christian Walker. I love the signing too. I love the dollar figure as well. I love the fact that he plays both sides of the ball. But at the same time, I'm a little concerned that a farm system that has been depleted over the last several years, that they're trying to grow and rebuild, which was part of the reason why they took the package they took from the Cubs, is now suddenly going to lose 2 picks next year. The minute that you sign Christian Walker, and that is a bit disconcerting for me, just simply because of the fact, a bit concerning for me, simply because of the fact that those picks are going to be pretty important, especially when Dana Brown has a pretty good eye for talent.
Whenever they made the Tucker trade, I thought that they were going to take a little bit in the short term to try to get better in the long term. And then deciding to keep Fromber really contradicts that point. And then signing Christian Walker contradicts that point.
Now, the only thing that I will reserve judgment on is they still could move Fromber. I mean, they still could trade Fromber and find a home for him and realize that what we've been talking about. If you're going to trade Tucker, you might as well trade Fromber. If there's any way you could trade Presley, you could try and trade him too. But at the same time, getting rid of all those guys, if you know they're not going to be back at the end of the year, is beneficial because of the fact that I think you have your long-term and short-term solution as it relates to Bregman. The long-term and short-term solution for Tucker is still up in the air. If there's a way with trades and or the combination of trades and juggling some finances that you still could add to the outfield, I think you have to try to do that. And so that's why I'm not going to close the door that they might not still trade Fromber.
They've been pretty vocal that they're not going to trade him. Now,
guess who's been vocal?
Dana Brown.
Yeah.
And you can't really take Dana Brown all that seriously. So, although Dana Brown, whenever he traded Kyle Tucker, he was asked, like, do you think you're going to add another bat? And he's like, yeah, we'll probably be in the market for that. But for every time he says that, he also says Kyle Tucker's going to be here for his entire career. So I agree that you can't completely rule it out. Now, here's my hope, actually, because I think there's an optimistic way to view this trade, and I think there's a pessimistic way to view this trade. Now, I do think that those moves contradict each other. Like, if you're trading Kyle Tucker, but you're keeping Fromber, and then you're signing Christian Walker despite losing 2 draft picks because of it and international money, I do think there's contradiction there, because trading Kyle Tucker is looking for the future. Keeping Fromber Valdez is looking for the right now. Signing Christian Walker is looking at the right now. So there's no doubt. It's a fact, in my opinion. It's a fact that these moves contradict themselves. Now, if you want to look at it from a pessimistic viewpoint, I think you can say that Dana Brown and the Houston Astros currently have a rudderless plan where they're like, oh, they'll make one move here, they'll make one move here, rebuild, move here, win now, move here, rebuild, win, move here, win now, move here. Now, if you want to be optimistic about it, I'm choosing to be, because I really want to like the Houston Astros offseason and like their prospects going forward, is that it's a good general manager making good moves, and he's not married to the idea that he has to be a rebuilding team or that he has to be a win-now team. And we talked about this in the past. Like, how do good organizations sustain winning long-term if you're not spending like the Dodgers, Yankees, or the Mets? You make the best move for your team every single time, even when it means trading a Kyle Tucker or holding on to a Fromber Valdez, maybe when the market is not there. What I'm hoping for is that Dana Brown is doing what is right for the organization at all times. And it's possible. Trading Kyle Tucker for 2 guys that can help you right now, and then a prospect that you hope helps you immediately, like pretty soon, maybe in a couple of years, and then you expect him to help you for 6 years once he is there, is a move that is in the best interest of the organization in its totality, long term. I hope that Dana Brown shopped Fromber Valdez. And whenever he shopped Fromber Valdez, he got all these offers on the table, and he didn't like any of them. Because that would now be good general managing. That would be Dana Brown putting every option on the table and figuring out what he has. So, hey, all of you general managers at the winter meetings, Kyle Tucker's available. Give me your best offer. Takes them all in. Okay, I really like this one from Chicago. We're going to do this. But he also does the same thing with Fromber Valdez. And when he looks at all the offers, he's like, yeah, this isn't good enough for a pitcher that we think is very good. We're going to hold on to Fromber. We'll trade Kyle Tucker. And then when you're looking at free agency, how can we best help our team right now? Okay, it's Christian Walker at $60 million for 3 years. Is it worth losing 2 compensation picks? And yeah, we think it's okay. So I hope that's what's going on with Dana Brown.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that I would push back on respectfully is the fact that all we've seen so far out of the pitching market is free to go. But I think that, Corbin Burns is out there. Cease is on the trade market, supposedly. There's a lot of pitchers that are still out there. We saw the trade with the Red Sox that got the 4 prospects to the White Sox for Crochet. So when you look at that, you say, well, could Fromber bring you 3 prospects? What could Fromber bring you? So maybe Dana was he was surfing the market at the winter meetings and trying to get some offers, but I still think that there are enough pitchers out there, and the pitching market still has quite a few names that could be had to where I still think they could find a deal for Fromber. That's why I'll hold out hope for that. But I'm not so sure, because the winter meetings obviously is the easiest way for it, in a short period of time to get everything you need.
The Christian Walker move, though, makes me think that why would they trade Fromber unless you get blown away with an offer? And that's why I'm hoping that Dana Brown's not married to this idea of, okay, we're going to be a rebuilding team or we're going to be a win-now team. Because he's made a win-now move twice by keeping Fromber if they ultimately do keep Fromber, and then signing Christian Walker. Signing Christian Walker and losing 2 draft picks and international money is a win-now move. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's a win-now move. That's not a rebuilding move. Trading Kyle Tucker is a bit of a rebuilding move. There's no way to argue that it's not. I don't mind a team that is operating from both sides if it's always the best move.
But can it be both?
What do you mean can it be both?
Because it'd be both. You could be still winning now, but you could still be planning for the future. I get losing the picks hurts you, but you replenished a few picks in the Tucker deal that help you. So you do have a couple of guys. One immediately becomes the best prospect in your system.
Sure.
And so you got a couple of young players. Now, you're going to be able to win now. You're going to compete for the division, maybe more depending on what you still are able to do. If you trade Fromber, depending on whether
I think that's the hang-up, though, is Fromber. Like, if you hang on to Fromber, that's the biggest contradiction. Like, how could you trade Tucker and be both, but then hang on to Fromber?
I think that if they trade Fromber, then I believe more wholeheartedly they've got a plan, and there is a way for them to sustain winning now, and still be able to rebuild and reload for the future.
Yeah, I guess I'm taking Dana Brown for his word.
I can't
which is fair for you to like. I understand where you're coming from there. Maybe I'm the one that's wrong on that sense. But then also signing Christian Walker's for the right now. Like he's a guy in his 30s, and you're losing compensation picks to do it. So I think, and this is like the most optimistic way to look at this, is that Dana Brown is looking at all these moves in isolation, saying, okay, this one, it makes sense for us. Yes, right now, but then also into the future, like Kyle Tucker. Okay, he tried to trade Fromber Valdez because he talked about how he would listen for anybody. Maybe the return that he was hearing back just wasn't very good, and it doesn't like. If you have the idea of like wanting to win, but then also reloading, and you make a pitcher like Fromber Valdez available, you're not going to just trade him to the highest bidder. You have to be okay with what you're getting in return. So the highest bid might not have been good enough for Dana Brown to be like, okay, we're going to trade him away, so let's keep Fromber Valdez. So I'm okay operating from that point of view, but if you look at it from a pessimistic point of view, where they're just kind of just haphazardly doing a bunch of moves to kind of appease everybody, that's scary. But what I'm hoping for is the optimistic point of view where Dana Brown's looking at all of these in isolation, and Kyle Tucker trade makes sense. The offers from Fromber Valdez just aren't very good. We want to still be good next year, so we're okay losing a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. So I'm hoping that's what the Astros front office is doing.
And maybe there's been conversations with Fromber to where he really wants to stay. Maybe that's encouraging, and that's part of the conversation. Maybe he understands, and there's a way to find a happy medium on a shorter-term deal with more of the money that's competitive that he'd be looking for so that he can stay, and that's encouraging. And maybe Dana's finally gotten the reins a little bit more control when they really were scattering and just kind of taking shots in the wind to try and see what they could do and had a couple of deals backfire at big money that really cost this franchise. Let's hope that's the case.
Yeah, if they feel like they have a 50-50 shot at Fromber, then it makes sense from that point of view too, whereas you felt like you had 0% chance at Kyle Tucker. Texter, I saw Tucker is more of a reload move, not a rebuild. I think that's a fair way to put it, but wouldn't Fromber be the same thing?
Yeah, well, it depends on what you get, right? I mean, I think I think BMAC and I were talking about this the other day, but if Crochet got 4 top prospects that are pretty close.
Now he's got years of club control.
I was going to say, so maybe you get 2 prospects that are pretty close and 2 lesser than, but have ability that Dana likes. Is that enough? Is that enough for you to say, I'm willing to take that package as opposed to take Fromber for another year and then take my chances whether I can sign him or not? And if I can't, then he walks and you deal with it.
Yeah, I think that Dana Brown listened on Fromber. Like, this is my hunch. I think that Dana Brown listened on Fromber. He was willing to trade Fromber if the deal was good. And I don't think he got a return that he was comfortable trading a guy who can eat 200 innings and have a sub-350 ERA that can be at the top of the rotation. I think he shopped them and didn't like what he saw.
Now, let's also be just aware of the fact that because there are some big with some big dollars and some big markets that are still trying. They might have 3 different scenarios on the table for what they might do. If they miss out on some guys, the Mets were supposedly interested in Fromber. Some of the teams that right now may pivot if they're, what they were targeting as their plan A goes awry, and they'll go, okay, let's circle back on Fromber. Now we might be able to give you a better package than what we offered you the first time, now that we know it's a little bit more of a sense of urgency for what we need now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like maybe Baltimore, okay, they miss out on Burns, they miss out on other starters that they want. Let's put together this fantastic trade package for Fromber in February, which now okay, Dana Brown might not have liked anything he was being offered in December. That can change in February. 713-780-ESPN HRP listener line, 713-780-3776. Dill Fromber, give me an outfielder. I'm not trading Fromber for a big league outfielder unless he's young and has tons of years of club control. 9513, what round are the comp picks? So the Astros are losing a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick for signing Christian Walker and $1 million in international money, if that's your flavor. The Astros will get a 4th-round comp pick for Alex Bregman. Schwab reported today. I use the word reported. Schwab tweeted today that the Astros were going to get a 2nd-round pick for Alex Bregman, and everybody thinks that the Astros are getting a 2nd-round pick for Alex Bregman. No, they're getting a 4th-round pick for Alex Bregman. And the reason they're getting a 4th-round pick and not a better pick is because they were operating in the competitive balance tax. They were operating in the CBT, which that's also something to watch as well. Like, will the Astros be going into the competitive balance tax again? Because the Astros had roughly $20 million to spend. How much did Christian Walker sign for? Signed for $20 million. So, I still think there needs to be moves for this offseason to be a good offseason. I think they need at least one more outfield bat, preferably a lefty. I'm not even picky. Like, if Jason Hayward's that left-handed bat, you play him in right field, I'm okay with that. But they still need one more outfielder.
I agree completely. Like I said, and I've been saying this and really preaching it hard the last week or so, is the fact that I cringe at the thought of having Jake and Chaz in the same outfield on a consistent basis as 2 of my 3 more than likely starting outfielders. That's not good enough for me. That shouldn't be good enough for anybody, and it shouldn't be good enough for Dana Brown and the Astros, and hopefully there's a way to do this. And you've been more on the number side of things and understanding how it all works, but a lot of people are coming back going, well, you don't have to pay Bregman, and then you don't have to pay Tucker, and then, depending on what happens with any of the other guys, maybe you recoup some of that money too. You don't have to pay Verlander. How much of that then allows you more flexibility financially to spend a little bit more? I think regardless, they're going over.
Well, they're right at it. They're right at it right now after the Walker signing.
Okay.
Right at it.
So that means that if Bregman walks,
no. I mean, Bregman's already off the payroll.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about
there's not a hold like
roster.
in the NBA. You have to hold.
No,
there's a hold.
No,
on
he's a free agent
contract
as soon as the season ends.
Okay, because from the NBA, he's a free agent, but you still have to have a hold on him until he signs somewhere else.
Yeah. Unlike the NBA. Okay. The Astros' current payroll as currently constructed is right at the competitive balance tax. So either you go over it to sign some more players, which there's been some reports saying that Jim Crane doesn't want to go over it for a 2nd year in a row, which I don't blame him. I don't want to be over the competitive balance tax either. Like, you're getting a 4th rounder for Bregman. Fromber Valdez, there's a good chance he leaves you in free agency next year. If you're over the competitive balance tax, you're getting a 4th rounder for Fromber Valdez. So I'm okay with operating under the competitive balance tax, just by a little bit. I don't want to be way under. I don't want to be 50 million under. I want to be 3 million under. So I'm okay if they don't go over. But I also think that they need to sign another outfielder. Now, if you want to get creative with how you do that, I think Ryan Presley would be the obvious contract that you want to trade. I don't think that Ryan Presley at $14.5 million is tradable. I think that you're going to have to eat at least half of that contract. But if you eat half the contract, it opens up $7 million for you to play with to be under the competitive balance tax, which brings you into Jason Hayward territory. So to me, that's the move. To me, you eat Ryan Presley's 50% of the contract, you retain it, and then you use that savings to go sign a left-handed bat, which I'm okay if it's Hayward. You know why I'm okay if it's Hayward? Because Chas McCormick is not a right fielder. I'm okay with Chas McCormick being an everyday outfielder for you. If it's in center, if it's in left, he can't play right field. If he's in right field with that arm, he's going to cost you tons of runs in a season. Jason Hayward, not a great bat anymore, but he can hit righties pretty good, and he's a great right fielder.
Great right fielder. Yeah,
so I want Hayward.
He's still got a gun, and he can cover some ground, and we saw that in the short time that he was here. And I would be fine with that if he was thinking about retirement. If he wanted to come back and play another year, he would be great for me in terms of at least one of the outfielders. I was thinking a little bigger before the Walker signing, and you and I had talked about it. I said, well, if you got Paredes that could play first or third, then you've replaced Bregman and gives you some help at first if you want a platoon, but then can you spend that money on a Teoscar Hernandez? Can you get a bigger name? Now with this Walker signing, I hate to say it, but I believe that Teoscar Hernandez is out of it.
Unless Jim Crane just says the heck with it, and we're going to be $20 million over the competitive balance tax. He's going to cost you $25 million. Yeah,
because I'm thinking the same thing you are. If there's anybody that you could find out, any way you could find a home for Presley, that's the biggest name that you'd want to move off the books, and that you could move on and get, some financial help to try and get who you want. Other than that, I just don't see a lot of names on the roster that you could move for the kind of money that it's going to take to get the kind of player that a lot of people are hoping for.
Yeah. And Teoscar comes with draft pick compensation too. So now you're even losing more draft picks. In an offseason, we thought that the Astros were trying to get younger and rebuild their farm system, which is not the case. So I like Teoscar as the player. I think the move of Christian Walker eliminates Teoscar Hernandez. I think that you have to be looking for a under $10 million outfielder. And I also think it's going to require the Astros getting rid of Ryan Presley, which I think is going to be very difficult to do on two fronts. One, I don't think many teams want Ryan Presley. You go look at the middle relief market right now, you can find a pretty solid middle reliever for $5 million. Why would you trade for an aging reliever who's had his worst year in the last 5-7 seasons at 14.5? I think you're going to have to eat at least half, maybe more than half of the Ryan Presley salary, which I'd be okay doing. Now, at what point, like, how much of the salary do you have to eat before you're just like, okay, I'm gonna keep Ryan Presley?
I mean, if I'm not getting back at least half of Ryan Presley's contract, I don't have to. If I have to eat more than half, then I'm not.
You're
doing
just
it.
going to keep
I'm
him at that point
and ride it out for this year.
I'm close to that point. For me, it's anything under like $5 million. Like if I can save $5 million by trading Ryan Presley for a bucket of curveballs, I'm probably doing it. So I'm even willing to go to like 65%. But anything further than that, I'm just keeping Ryan Presley. Because now you're like, I didn't think Ryan Presley had a great year last year, but not having Ryan Presley on this team means that, okay, like Caleb Ort,
right.
Forrest Whitley, like those are your replacements.
You're leaning harder on guys that don't have the kind of experience and skins on the wall that a Presley has, regardless of salary.
Yeah, so I'm willing to pay I'm willing to pay Presley like $5 million. If I have to eat 90% of the salary, that's too much for me. So that'll be interesting to see if they can do that. But I think that they absolutely must add an outfielder to this team, because right now their outfield, and Espada is talking about how he wants to use Jordan pretty much primarily as a designated hitter. So if you don't sign another outfield, you know what your outfield is today? It's Dubon in left, it's Myers in center, and it's Chas McCormick in right.
God, it's cringeworthy.
And people are talking about like Jacob Melton, which I do like the future of Jacob Melton, but he had like a 715 OPS in AAA. He's not ready yet.
Yeah, it's all like hopes and wishes and like the Cinderella stories at multiple fronts. Because then you've heard Leon. Oh, Leon's got a gun and he's really playing well in the winter ball, and Leon's ready now. Well, he was not anywhere close to ready when he came up last year. I can't rely or even hope that he's going to be one of the answers. I think Melton's at least a year or so away still before I would consider him to be in the mix. And now when you throw in the fact that Dubon's going to be in left on top of my cringeworthy Jake and Chaz starting outfield, that's not good enough for me.
Yeah, I would say that Melton, best case scenario is like June or July. At least half a year. Yeah. If he's like hot in AAA to start the season, okay, that's different. But there's no way that guy's a starting outfielder opening day of the 2025 season. All right, your thoughts on the Christian Walker trade. What do you think needs to be done now? Do you think the Astros are World Series contenders? Like today, as currently constructed, could the Astros win a World Series? 713-780-ESPN, the HRNP listener line, 713-780-3776. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/ESPN975. We're on YouTube at ESPN Houston. We're on Twitter at ESPN975. Blankers at Pac-Man Joel. I'm at Jeremy Branham. We are the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5.
Guys, before we go to the break, look, you're taking care of everybody and paying a lot of the bills for all the Christmas gifts and things you got going on over the holiday season. Why not treat yourself? If you're losing your hair, you've got thinning, pattern baldness, or just flat out have lost your hair and don't think there's anything you can do, why not check out my good friend Doc Linville and the NeoGraft procedure, PRP treatments, and the way he can get your own hair back using your own hair, and methods that he has been proven to show people will get you results. Not the sprays and the creams and the foams that don't. This stuff actually works. The procedures, I've done the procedures and the PRP treatments, and I can tell you on both fronts, they get results and you will be pleased. Right now, you get a consultation like I got for free, and you get it for free as well because you're listening to me right now. All you got to do is go to 975hair.com right now and set up a free consultation. It doesn't cost you a thing. People off the street pay $150 just to talk to Doc and his staff. You don't pay a cent. Nothing out of pocket, no signing on the dotted line or commitments to be made. Just a Q&A session after they explain to you how they can help. They'll show you pictures. They'll explain to you the before and afters and let you know they can help you too. And because they're taking, and here's the big Cliff Notes bullet point that you need to know, they're taking your own hair from areas you're never going to lose it, the sides and the back of your head, and putting it where you need it most in the NeoGraft procedure. That could be up front on your hairline or up top and back or wherever you may need it. They can do it. And the fantastic thing is that 95 to 99% of all the follicles they move are going to stay and grow and be with you for the rest of your life because he's taking them from a spot where they're never going to leave. Therefore, you're going to see results. You're going to like the way you look again, and you're going to get more self-esteem and more self-confidence when you look in the mirror. Check them out today. Set up a free consultation. Tell them I sent you by. Go to 975hair.com.
Now back to the Killer Bees.
On ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Joel Blank and Jeremy Branham.
Are the Astros a World Series contender as currently constructed? Your thoughts on the Walker trade, the signing, 713-780-ESPN. Brian, I know that you are trade Fromber, half measure if you don't. What do you think about this signing?
Yeah, I kind of sided on the pessimistic point of view that you pointed out in the last segment. If they don't trade Fromber and follow this up, I'm going to be kind of disappointed because it feels like, I don't want to say necessarily a rudderless ship making random moves, because this almost feels like and Joel, you'll remember this fondly, but the Rockets era of basketball with Luis Scola and Kevin Martin, where, hey, we're not willing to actually tank but we have to stay competitive. We're not willing to go all in on the rebuild, but we're not, there at able to compete. You're kind of just stuck in that 42 and 40 purgatory that kind of feels what like the Astros are doing. And I wonder if it's almost because Jim Crane has gone on record saying the windows is open as long as I'm here. I kind of get the feeling like it's an ego thing. Like he can't fully accept a full step back, even if it's for just a year, because he loses face when he says the window is always open as long as I'm here. He's not willing to go full in on the reload. Instead, he wants to, make sure we get back a major leaguer in the Kyle Tucker trade. And let's get Christian Walker, even though he's a little bit older. Let's not trade Fromber, even though we're probably going to lose him, because he's not willing to suffer an actual reload season.
I don't disagree with you, Brian. I think too, though, from Crane's business perspective, because you try to get a read on him and he's so tough because he just, again, just kind of flails at things. Sometimes we go, what are you doing? But I think that once he tasted what winning was like, and because he's put his name on it, that, he said the window's always open as long as I'm the owner of the team. I think that's why he's not willing to try and understand where any general manager coming in or any kind of baseball people would tell him, hey, at a certain point, it's cyclical. You're going to have to take a step back or two and kind of replenish, rebuild, and then hopefully make another run. And so it's tough because he's going to kind of sit right on the edge. I think the team's good enough to win the division right now. I don't think he's willing to go the necessary last step, if you want to call it that, or steps to try and put this team back as a World Series contender, because he is still a very savvy businessman and he doesn't want to pay the tax.
See, I'm okay walking the line between always looking at the future and making yourself better right now. I think that's how you have a sustained winner. But the Fromber thing is what confuses me the most, is you're going to trade Tucker entering his final year, but you're not doing the same for Fromber. That's why if you look at it from giving them the benefit of the doubt, looking at it from an optimistic point of view, I'm hoping they tried to trade Fromber and they didn't like the return that they were getting.
I said a week or so, if you're going to trade one, trade both, trade three. If you can trade Presley somehow, some way, and you're right.
But what if the offer on, the idea of trading Fromber is great. I think we all like that. I think we're all on the same page there. We might be in the minority in the city, but we're all on the same page there. But what if you didn't get an offer that you liked?
Yeah, for right now, right? That's why I'm holding the hope that there's still plenty of offseason left, to where as the cards start falling and or deals are made and things are still being discussed, maybe there's a team that doubles back, or maybe something happens where a guy goes someplace where the team wasn't expecting that or was hoping to get that player, and suddenly they come back. Because you do have to find yourself then, the follow-up to that would be, okay, but what's better? Maybe that initial deal wasn't what you wanted, but at the end of the year, you're going to lose him for nothing if you don't end up re-signing him. Right. So at least get something.
Yeah, compensation pick. But
that's
very
kind of
minor.
where I fall. I hear you. It could be they got just garbage offers, and they're like, you know what? We're not trading a Cy Young contender for garbage. But even if it's prospects you're not thinking are the level of Cam Smith, if you still think he's not coming back, and I guess that's the unknown question to answer your question, if you think there's no chance he's coming back, I would still go ahead and take those prospects, even if they aren't at Cam Smith's level, over getting a 4th round pick.
Yeah. Now,
so that's the kind of the unknown that is hard to equate for in this process.
If they felt like they had a 50% chance to get him back on a somewhat, let's just say, fair deal, then you'd be less likely to want to trade him. And also the compensation pick comes into play. It really does. Mm-hmm. If you're not getting offered anything you like, Okay, well, you can get a first-round compensation pick for him if you're under the competitive balance tax. So, like, that's the other element. Like, people, spend way, way, way over. Okay, well, now if you do that, you're going to lose Fromber for a fourth-rounder. So, like, that's something you have to use as part of the equation, too. Because if you are going to trade Fromber this offseason, and Dana Brown says they don't want to, you have to get more than a comp first-round grade for the return of Fromber. And if you're getting offered less than that, then you keep them. It's obvious you keep them. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping that Dana would at least shop them. 713-780-ESPN. And then the Walker element too is kind of a little bit of a contradiction because we felt like their whole desire this offseason was we want to make our minor league system better.
Right.
And if you trade away your second round pick, or you're not trading it away, but you're losing it because you signed Christian Walker. Well, that kind of also contradicts the whole philosophy of we want to improve our minor league system.
Because we got the Tucker pick and said, okay, you got some picks back or you got some young players back. That's a step in the right direction. And you got a guy for now at third base or first base or whatever. But now you lose 2 picks in this deal and you're like, okay,
which
so
is
we're basically standing right back where we were.
Which is kind of why I fall on the pessimistic side. Because if we're trusting this is Dana Brown making a smart move by looking at the Fromber market and saying, no, that's not enough, then he wouldn't also give up those picks. I just, this kind of to me reeks of Dana Brown still doesn't have full control, and
Yes.
Jim Crane is holding his hand saying, we'll let you go ahead and make this move with Kyle Tucker because we know 0% he's coming back. But everything else, we're not willing to take the full reload step.
And maybe to the point of the conversation you guys had yesterday, maybe once he was fine with the Tucker deal, but once the writing was on the wall, Arenado did what he did, and maybe that's when Jim Crane butted in again
that was
and
the first
said,
thought I had.
yep, okay, I was good with this now, but now I'm a little ticked off. Now go get me a name.
Yeah. 713-780-ESPN, HRP listener line. Let's go out to the HRP listener line. John, you're in the hive of the bees. What's up, John?
Hey, guys. I understand what you're saying, like, with Fromber and stuff, but like Jim Crane said, he wants to always be a chance to win. I mean, we're going to win our division. We're going to win the West, and we get into the, playoffs. Having Fromber as one of our, 1 to 4 pitchers, whatever we're going to have, is going to help us win those series. And so I really like, keeping him. I understand, we're not getting good offers, but keeping him helps us win. And Jim Crane says, with him here, we're always going to win now. So keeping Fromber, I'm okay with that. And like you said, no good deal. So, yeah, keep him. He gives us the best chance to get back to the World Series. And I, as a fan, I always want to win the World Series. So that's where I'm at.
See, the problem that I have with that is the fact that then you've got to go out and address the outfield too.
Absolutely.
Because not just keeping Fromber alone is going to make you a World Series contender. Offensively, yeah, it helps your pitching staff a whole hell of a lot. And there's no denying the fact that he's one of the better pitchers in the American League. And you got him for one more year and you're in go-for-it mode. But if you're in go-for-it mode, then you got to be willing to go over the tax and you got to go get yourself at least one more bat.
See, I don't think that you have to go over the tax. I think that you need to be creative on how you spend your resources. And the Astros screwed themselves with Abreu and Montero. Like, that's also part of the equation. They're paying how much on Abreu? Like 19 or whatever it is. They're paying 11.5 on Montero. So $30 million of the money is earmarked to guys that aren't going to help you at all. At all. Like, you imagine spending that on the best outfielder you can find for just 1 year. Like, that's what's really hurting you the most whenever we're talking about the limitations financially.
And remember when we talked about it, it was like, okay, we understand now, and it's becoming clear with every guy that walks out the door that they have a set of guidelines and a threshold that they're not willing to go over. And I kept saying at the time, because all it takes is 1 or 2 bad moves like this to really set the franchise back. When you made the moves that you made, regardless of how much we might have disagreed with, especially the Montero money, we were like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. I don't know if those are going to hurt you. Now, those 2 contracts alone could get you exactly what you need to put you right back where you want to be.
Yeah, and that's kind of like crying about spilt milk, but I mean, I'm always going to cry about that spilt milk, but you have to also, okay, well, what's the best move going forward? And I agree to John's point about being a sustained winner. Like, I don't necessarily believe in a rebuild or like these win now moves. I think you should always be looking to make the best move for your organization while looking at the future and then also being worried about the short term. That's why I'm okay-ish. I'm mostly okay with trading Tucker and keeping Fromber. I trust that Dana Brown got the very best offer he could for Kyle Tucker, and I'm okay with the return that you got for Kyle Tucker, especially knowing that he's going to leave you. I'm very hopeful that Dana Brown tried to do the same thing with Fromber, didn't like the return, and kept Fromber. I'm okay losing a second and a fifth-round pick for a Christian Walker who you expect to be a big help to your team for the next 3 years. So I'm okay with this kind of contradiction of rebuild, win now. I think you should always be looking at moves in isolation, always be looking about the short term and the long term at the same time. And I'm hoping that's what Dana Brown is doing. And if he is doing it and he continues to do it well, I think that you can sustain a winner long term. And asking the question, 713-780-3776, do you think that the Astros are a World Series contender as currently constructed? What do you think?
I don't. I don't, simply because of the fact that I think that there is that one big hole to fill, that one necessity that they have to have, which is that I'm cringeworthy of any outfield that is going to consistently put out Jake Myers and Chas McCormick. And if you want to put Dubon in left field, that makes it even worse to me, that they have to add at least one bat in the outfield. If it's possible to do more than that, then so be it. That'd be wonderful. But at least one more bat as currently constructed makes me believe that this team can take it more than just the division.
Yeah. I think that they're an outfielder away from being a true World Series contender. And that, to me, it doesn't even have to be a great outfielder. It doesn't even have to be a great out. Like, I think that you're a contender with Jason Hayward. I really do. And, like, that bottom of the order is not great, but a 7, 8, 9 of Jason Hayward, Chas McCormick, and Jake Myers, you can win with that. You can win with that if your pitching staff is really good, and all three of those guys are plus defenders. Chas McCormick in left field is a plus defender. Jake Myers in center field is a plus defender. Jason Hayward in right field is a plus defender. It's not the greatest bottom of the order, but if you have a really good pitching staff, if you're playing really good defense, I still think that that team can contend.
See, the only thing that I would say in looking at that is because the cringeworthy part of it is Hayward's offense or anybody's offensive abilities. But when the other thing that you have to ask yourself is, who are you competing with and what have they done and what are the other teams in the American League? The Yankees are less than. Now they're adding, right? But I think when you look at their lineups and you go back and forth and you start comparing, they can compete with the Yankees. From a pitching staff, can they compete with the Yankees? I believe that they can. I believe that they're pretty evenly matched in a lot of areas, to where if the Yankees are the team that represented the American League last year, they were head and shoulders the best team in the American League, and you're in that ballpark right now as currently constructed because Tucker missed the majority of the final 3 months of the season, then you're in the ballpark. You're in the discussion. I just firmly believe they need to add one more bat.
Yeah. How good of a bat does it have to be, though?
It doesn't have to be Teoscar Hernandez or Santander or guys of that ilk.
It wouldn't make me mad if it was.
I would love either guy. Don't get me wrong. And everybody knows that Teoscar has been top of my list if you can get him. But if you can't get him, whether it be via trade or you kind of take a tier or two down in the market, as long as, look, if Hayward was a couple years younger and was more, he still had a little bit more tread on his tires. He still has pop. We already know, take the defensive out of it, because I believe in his defense even now. But offensively, from an average perspective and catching up with fastballs, I saw enough at the end of the year to go, yeah, he can guess right on one and he can turn it around. But I just don't know if I believe in him offensively. It would have to be a little bit above that for me.
Yeah, but you're also asking him to be your 8-hitter. You're not asking him to be in the middle of your lineup.
But even still, I don't.
Like, is it an upgrade over Dubon? Clearly.
Yeah.
You're probably platooning them. Like, Hayward's probably starting against righties. Dubon would probably start against lefties.
But you still haven't solved my dilemma if I have to see both Chas and Jake in the outfield too.
Well, it depends on which guys you're getting. But, like, Jake Myers is a plus player. Like, people hate hearing that, but Jake Myers plays a really good defensive center field, which is a premium defensive position. Yes, he isn't going to hit a lick, but you see defensive guys bat 8th or 9th on teams all the time. The Astros are winning World Series with catchers who are hitting 150.
Yeah, you're right. From
and it depends on what Chas you get.
Yeah,
if you get Chas from 2 years ago, it's a wild card. Like, if you get Chas 2 years ago, you're happy with that.
Yep.
If you get Chas last year, you're in deep trouble.
That's what I'm saying. If I get what I've known, which is the last scouting report that I've seen, I am cringe to death of the fact that I have to see those two guys in the outfield. You're right. If I get Chas of 2 years ago, now I could live with a Jason Hayward. Now I could live with just one other outfielder and be, okay, cool. It doesn't have to be an outfielder of a specific ability.
713-780-ESPN. Do you think the Astros are World Series contenders? What is left to do for them to be World Series contenders? 713-780-3776. It's the Bees, ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5.
Hey guys, starting tonight, there's a lot of college football and a lot of big time games. Maybe your team's not in it, but you are going to watch it and you want to make those games even more interesting. I encourage you go to mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag is always the place I tell you to be when you want to bet money on sports because they take care of you all the time and they are going to take care of you while you have the enjoyment of watching so much sports, especially over the holidays when there's everything going on. And it's all the sports. It's college and pro basketball, college and pro football. It's golf, it's UFC, it's soccer. If you're watching sports on TV, there's a pretty good chance you could bet on it at mybookie.ag. And they're doing it again by taking care of you, the customer. This time over the holidays, if you use our promo code BET975, you get a 50% bonus on your very first deposit. That's right. If you put $100 in, they'll put 50 on top of it immediately. You'll have 150 to play with. More money in your account, more games you can bet on, and more chances you can win. They're giving you more money to play with. You just have to remember our code. It's go to mybookie.ag and use it. It's bet975. In no time at all and almost instantly, that money's there and you can start betting on all your favorite sports. The website is a breeze to navigate, whether you're on the laptop or on the app or on your phone. Take all your sports viewing from ordinary to extraordinary because you're going to mybookie.ag. Use our promo code BET975. Do what I always tell you to do. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. With the only place I tell you to do it. It's mybookie.ag and use our promo code BET975.
Coming to you live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Killer Bees
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Here's Joel Blank and Jeremy Branham.
Can the Astros win it all? It's currently constructed. 713-780-3776. Crawfish Boxes tweeted this a little bit ago. Whoever it is that prioritized trading for Arenado ahead of signing Walker needs to be fired yesterday. It is interesting.
It is.
It is interesting. Now, if I was to play devil's advocate here, not saying I prefer Arenado to Walker, but it would have been Arenado at less money, and you wouldn't have lost 2 draft picks.
But would you be better as a baseball team?
You wouldn't be better offensively. Walker's a better hitter than Arenado. Now, defensively, I think you're a little better. Now, it's weird because Arenado is greater than Paredes, equal to Walker's greater than Paredes defensively. But you would play Paredes at first if you had Arenado versus playing third, which is a more premium defensive position.
And I think he plays an above-average third base.
Paredes. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So I think that you lose
average.
A little with the loss of Bregman versus Paredes, maybe.
Defensively, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I think from the glove perspective, I think Paredes might have a better arm. But then I think you completely upgrade at first base with Walker over
both sides
else.
of the ball. Like Paredes and Bregman will be fun to watch as to who is a better offensive producer, because I think it's going to be close. Like, who has a better offensive season next year, Bregman versus Paredes? I think it's going to be a close competition.
I agree.
I think it'll be tight. Defensively, there's no argument there. Bregman's a way better defensive player than Paredes. But Walker's a better hitter than anything you were playing at first base last year. He's a better defender than anything you were playing at first base last year. But it is interesting that they tried on Arenado before they tried on Walker. 713-780-ESPN HRMP listener line. Don't forget DeZinzo is elite versus righties. Yeah, maybe we're forgetting DeZinzo in this conversation. Maybe DeZinzo's your left fielder. Maybe they're like, yeah, let's go with the young kid in left field.
Okay, so if he's your left fielder, is that
I'm not
better than Dubon?
I think so.
I do too, offensively, and I think Dubon's got more value by being able to be super utility. You use all over to rest guys and across the diamond.
Maybe not better offensively, but way more upside offensively.
Right. And if he gets comfortable and gets used to the hitting, the pitching, and everything in the league, then I think that there's a chance that because the offensive upside of him, that I could live with that. And then I also have the flexibility to use Dubon all over the diamond. Then I'm fine with that. I can't fathom the idea of going into the regular season with Chaz and Jake in the starting lineup.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you on that, but if they're your 8-9 hitters, it doesn't really bother me a ton.
They're not Maldi, right?
But if it's all 3 of those guys, if you're going 7-8-9 outfielder, your outfield's the worst in the league. Your outfield's the worst in the league. Myers is a plus defender, ? Maybe catching the ball, but the guy has a below average arm. Jake Myers was a finalist for a Gold Glove. Like, I agree that Jake Myers does not have a good arm. I think that all of you overvalue an arm in the outfield. Like, yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't matter at all. I'm not saying it's a 0, but the arm in center field might be the least important defensive attribute. Like, would you rather have range or an arm? Would you rather have speed or an arm? Would you rather have a guy who can catch the ball or an arm? Yes, the arm matters, but people act like the arm is just as important as range, and it's not. Not in center. Absolutely not in center.
No, right. Look, and I agree. Look, we dealt with less than from an arm perspective in center field. We know that, both Chaz and Jake's arms are less than, and everybody talks about Dubon having an arm, but it really ain't that great either. So, from the standpoint,
who's that?
Dubon.
I think Dubon has a cannon. I don't think it's accurate.
It's just that's what I'm saying. Because, he has a stronger arm, but he doesn't know where it's going 3/4 of the time. So it really doesn't do you that much good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can deal with that if you're not so significantly less than the major league average in terms of their offensive production. Dubon got hot for a little while. He's salvageable from an offensive perspective. I hope Chaz reverts back to 2 years ago, but that's a big if.
Yeah, it's a big gamble too.
It is. That's why I just can't believe in my heart of hearts and mind that they're going to sit there and be content with what they have in the outfield right now.
Yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Paredes is going to flourish big time here just because he's home. He's never lived in Houston. He's with his people now. Mexico's around the block. I love Breggy, but we'll be better at third, I think. I do love the Paredes is my kind. Paredes and I, we're both Mexicans. So
and I'm Mexican.
Their texture. The real crime is all those kids with Tucker, Bregman, Springer, Correa jerseys. If Crane's going to let them walk, he should let all those people come in and trade for new players' jerseys. Look, I don't care about roster turnover. I couldn't care less about roster turnover. You know what I care the most about? Wins and losses. I care about banners. I care about championships. It does not bother me to have high roster turnover on my teams. George Springer, you're better off not signing George Springer than signing George Springer. He has not lived up to the contract. Carlos Correa has not lived up to the contract. I'm willing to put my life on the line that Alex Bregman will not live up to the contract. Kyle Tucker might have another good year, and you had another year of club control, but if Kyle Tucker makes $500 million, he's not living up to the contract. So I have no problem letting players and fan favorites walk. I care more about team than player.
I mean, just look at 2017 to 2022. How many players carried over? 5 of 26. So yeah,
from 17 it was what, 2?
Maybe 3. For 20, like from the 2017 team to the 2022 team, it was 5 players out of 26 that carried over.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to win with roster turnover.
Absolutely, the general manager is the most important position in the baseball organization, in my opinion.
I think you're right, because I think you have to be realistic and you have to take feelings out of it. And you have to be able to separate relationships that you build and the players and what they've done for you when you were having success with them. To understand, there's going to come a time with just about every player, and Altuve might be one of the last exceptions, where you're going to say at a certain point, I'm going to have to walk away, or they're going to force me to let them walk away because they're going to get more than I'm willing to pay. Because the minute that, even if it was already decided before then, and I think we were all on the same page with that, but the minute that Soto signed his deal, even if you thought, regardless of how they're evenly matched stat-wise, but just from a finances perspective, even if he gets half of that or a little bit more than half of that, Crane ain't paying it.
No, he's not paying it. Astros are cooked, says a member of the Hive. I disagree there. How about Jurickson Profar? I'm not a big Profar guy. I've been a Profar guy up until this past year because he's been a cheap outfielder who I thought had potential. But I'm not paying the guy who's going to be 32, 33 years old off a career year. To me, it's too late.
I've never been a huge fan of his. I've never been a fan of his when he was with the Rangers. I never thought that he had the upscalability. I would rather find the next Jurickson Profar and take a lesser deal and find a guy that finds lightning in a bottle for a year than expect Jurickson Profar to be able to duplicate what he did last year with the Padres.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of paying guys off career years that are in their 30s. Texture, I don't think the Astros moves are contradictory.
The back of his baseball card.
There you go. I think they're balancing a dynasty, winning now, trying to look at the future as well. It's complex. The pitching staff is elite. I would agree with all those points. What if they wait to add a bat at the deadline? That's plausible, probably probable. And I do think you can find corner outfield help at the deadline. I don't think it's all that expensive, quite frankly, at the deadline. But why wait? Why wait? Do it now. I don't want outfield help with 60 games to play. I want outfield help with 162 games to play.
Listen, just take last year as an example. You don't want to get behind the 8 ball no matter what if people still think you should win the division. You don't want to catch yourself, falling behind, and then you're panic mode as you get to the deadline and become more desperate than you are if you do it now and for a full season, I got an extra bat that I really need so that I can be a solid team all year long.
Richard, Astros should go get Pham or Winkler. I don't love Pham because he's a righty, and I think that you already have enough right-handed bats in the outfield. Winkler does intrigue me. Now, he wouldn't help you in right. He'd have to be
Winker
left.
From the Mets?
Yeah.
I didn't like him.
Is he better than Dubon?
He's inconsistent. He's probably better than Dubon.
He helps you. He's immediately one of your best 3 outfielders.
Certainly has more power.
He's immediately
Way
one of your
more
best
power.
3 outfielders. That's the state of the Astros outfield, is that you're going to have to take somebody that you're not in love with, quite frankly.
You're probably right.
Because, I like Winkler's bat. Now, I prefer to sign a guy who can play right field because, again, Chaz in right field scares the heck out of me. You okay with Alex Verdugo on the team? Verdugo's talent has always intrigued me, but he's always underperformed. And then there's also been the talk that he's not a great clubhouse guy. I'm okay with no power.
Heard that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I haven't heard that.
Remember Alex Cora blasted him last year.
I was just disappointed that
or 2 years ago.
That I've always believed that he can be a good defensive outfielder, and then he played really bad defense in a lot of instances where they needed him to play good defense last year. And offensively, he was terrible after he had some good offensive production at Fenway. To where that's a huge risk to take, and it all comes down to at what price.
Yeah, maybe if you could buy low there, it would make some sense. But he's not somebody who would be like that high on my priority list. What's the current batting order looking like for y'all?
Maybe an upgrade. Excuse me on that last point of Verdugo. Maybe instead that's what I'm talking about. You take a flyer on a guy that's trying to reprove himself, like the Profar situation, and maybe Verdugo on the cheap, even if it's for 1 year, get you through this year, especially if you hang on to Fromber to say, hey, you prove it, and we'll talk at the end of the year. But you need us, we need you. Let's do this.
All of these guys will only be 1 year for me.
Right.
I'm not going more than a year on any of these guys. Eric, if they offload Presley, you can give money to one outfielder. You get that. This team is 1 through 7 great offensively with top 5 pitching in baseball. The problem is getting rid of Presley. People I had a dude in my tweets today that said that the Astros could get a top 100 prospect for Presley.
Stop.
It's more likely that the Astros.
Delusional.
It's more likely that the Astros would have to eat Presley's like 50% of his salary and get nothing in return. His trade value is currently negative. Like there's just an oversaturation of relievers.
A financial cutting of losses more than you don't expect to get anything back at this point based on what his value might be.
And then the other part of this too that makes Presley hard to trade, because like maybe these lesser market teams would be happy with Presley if they paid him $5 million and you ate $7 million of the contract. But Presley has a full no trade clause and would reject that trade
in a heartbeat.
There's only a few teams that you could trade him to right off the bat. And then those teams aren't going to want that salary because he wasn't that good of a pitcher last year. And you can get better relievers than him for cheaper out on the market. He's very difficult to trade. If he was easy to trade, he would have been traded by now.
Yeah,
he would have already been traded.
Milwaukee, having traded their closer again and being known as a team that's never going to pay and they're going to trade you before they have to, would love to get Ryan Presley on a where they only have to pay $5 or $6 million of his contract to be the closer for a year, because all they do is bridge gaps and put Band-Aids on things. They're not looking for long-term fixes unless it's loading up a whole bunch of prospects so that they can try and be good in a couple of years when they're ready.
All right, 713-780-ESPN, HR&P listener line, 713-780-3776. Eric Presley's more of a money offload to create space for the outfield pickup. I just don't know how you're offloading it. Like, how are you offloading the contract of Ryan Presley? Again, he has a full no-trade clause, and any team that would be interested in acquiring Presley probably doesn't want to pay him more than $7 million at most.
Yeah,
at most.
I think that you would consider yourself one of the luckiest teams on the planet if there was some way that like a Baltimore was a little desperate and said, I'll give you more because we really need a back of the bullpen guy.
Not even more. We'll just take on the full salary.
Right.
We're not giving you anything. Done. If Baltimore called me right now, we'll trade you a hot cup of coffee for Ryan Presley and his full salary in a second.
Gone.
Because now you can repurpose that money for an outfielder. But that's not going to happen. That's why I think his current contract is untradeable.
Especially because you're more than likely to lose Santander, and you're going to lose Corbin Burns, and you were a good team last year, and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your money too. You don't want to instantly take on all 14 of Ryan Presley.
What's the starting rotation to start the year with all the injuries? Probably Fromber, Brown, Blanco, Arrighetti. If Luis Garcia's healthy, Wesneski's probably going to be in the mix. Lance McCullers, maybe.
I was going to say, you didn't mention Lance, but he's throwing and he's not in a uniform, which means there's progress being made.
So I was going to do a full segment today on the Astros and like the plan going forward, and then Christian Walker signed and it ruined all of it. But here are a couple of outfielders that I did like. Hayward, I don't mind Winker if he's in left field. A couple of other names that I thought about. I think Benjamin Gamble helps you. I think Benjamin Gamble.
Was good when he was here.
I think Gamble's an upgrade to this outfield right now. I did have Verdugo on it. Gruchek wouldn't be bad, but he's right-handed. I wish he was lefty, but that's maybe an option. Austin Hayes, who's another righty that hits lefties well. I don't think you need a righty. And then if you really got desperate, maybe like a David Peralta. So there are some names. There are some names. All right, 713-780-ESPN. When we come back, we're going to play Who Said It? Brian's going to read to us things that were said by ESPN 97.5 personalities, and then Blankers and I will guess correctly who said it. It is the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. All right, who said it? Brian's going to read to us 5 quotes. Blankers and I then guess who said it. Brian, you want to pave the way?
Sure. All right. Quote number 1. Hot take. I actually like Domino's pizza, specifically the pan kind. It's better than Pizza Hut, which is the original pan pizza, but Pizza Hut pan pizza sucks. This pan pizza, which they started, I think, in like 2011, is fantastic.
All right, so who has bad food takes?
That is an awful take.
I don't mind Domino's.
My kids love Domino's. They love Papa John's.
Really?
Yeah, they moved on.
Papa John's is awful.
My favorite.
Papa John's wants to
I don't
sponsor.
like either one of them.
My favorite fast food pizza, like if you're going cheap, fast food pizza is probably Domino's.
Same.
I actually get the thin crust on Alfredo sauce, a little bacon and chicken. Fantastic.
I don't get the Alfredo, but my favorite fast food pizza would be a Domino's thin crust.
I don't like any fast food pan pizza though. Any of them.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, I love Pizza Hut when it first came out with the pan pizza. It was really good.
I would agree with that. I liked it at a time, but
it's lost a lot.
All right, so bad take. They eat poorly, so probably not Paul. Probably not John. John's not. I mean, John's too bougie to be eating at Pizza Hut. Can you read it again?
Sure. Hot take. I actually like Domino's pizza, specifically the pan kind. It's better than Pizza Hut, which is the original pan pizza, but Pizza Hut pan pizza sucks. This pan pizza, which they started, I think, in like 2011, is fantastic.
What are you thinking,
Joe?
He knows the history of the pizza. It feels to me like somebody who wants to be foodie but isn't foodie. So I think it's Lance.
I think Lance is a foodie. I think
he's a pretend foodie.
My initial was Granato because of the surprise that I actually like, because as the Italian, that he wouldn't really like any of these or specifically that.
But would he know the timelines that well?
I think he'd know Pizza Hut. I think it's kind of in his wheelhouse.
Can you say it one more time?
Sure. By the way, it's not Jake. Hot take. I actually like Domino's
pizza. You say
pizza.
hot take, though.
You want me to keep going? Or you just want,
say
okay.
it again.
Hot take. I actually like Domino's pizza, specifically the pan kind. It's better than Pizza Hut, which is the original pan pizza. But Pizza Hut pan pizza sucks. This pan pizza, which they started, I think, in like 2011, is fantastic.
Which way are you leaning?
So we're in the morning show?
I think so. I defer to you because I'm way inferior at this game than you.
I don't know, man. I don't have a strong feeling on this one.
My lean's Lance.
Okay, we'll go Lance.
Hot take. I actually like Domino's
Paul?
pizza. Specifically, the pan kind. It's better than
doesn't eat
Pizza Hut, which is the original pan pizza.
Paul's
but
lying.
Pizza Hut pan
Paul's
pizza
posturing.
sucks.
He's posturing
This
about
pan
pizza. He's a
which
pizza
they
posturer.
started, I think, like 2011. It's fantastic.
No, he's lying. He does not eat
trying to do film study like you're Jeremy Branham.
Paul,
Trying to
no,
make everybody think that you know ball.
I pulled it
Paul's
specifically
posturing like he's trying to make people think that he knows pizza. He didn't know pizza.
because one of the things I know, and I think a lot of people know about Paul's food takes, is he doesn't like cheese. And so when I heard this, it's like, well, they're not going to. If they know that, they're not going to guess Paul because he doesn't eat cheese.
Maybe that's why he likes the pans, because there's less of a cheese ratio.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not
That's
sure.
sacrilegious to not like cheese.
Well, from Milwaukee,
Well, yeah, Wisconsin, I get it.
But
I get it.
even Palillo, Palillo didn't like cheese on his cheesesteaks, didn't like all this cheese. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Then it's just a steak, which is still good, but it's no longer a cheesesteak at that point.
I can't believe that was Paul. All right, quote 2.
All right, quote 2. I'm not eating. Well, first of all, I'm not a snow eater because we don't get snow here. But secondly, no. If anything is brown or yellow and it's not actual prepared food, I'm not putting that in my mouth.
What?
Someone peeing in the snow, or
say that again?
Okay. I'm not eating. Well, first of all, I'm not a snow eater because we don't get snow here. But secondly, no. If anything is brown or yellow and it's not actual prepared food, I'm not putting that in my mouth.
is it someone that's dealt with snow before?
I don't know. So generic. So Paul.
You say Paul?
I said poor. Like I was Anna Delvey.
Oh. Joe?
Sure.
I feel like we're going to mail this in.
I don't know this one at all. Like I'm gonna Joe.
Go Joe.
I'm not eating. Well, first of all, I'm not a snow eater because we don't get snow here. But secondly, no. If anything is
what are they talking about?
Is not
It was news
is
of the
brown
weird
or
brown
yellow,
snow.
and it's not actual prepared food, I'm not putting that in my mouth.
John did a story about brown snow and how you're not supposed to eat it during News of the Weird, and that was Lance's
We
response.
should have. Yeah, maybe we could have used deductive reasoning there a little better. All right, quote 3.
All right, quote 3. I think the NBA ratings is the biggest big picture issue across sports right now.
Huh.
I would be terrified. Like, they're talking about expansion. Why? No one's watching your product. Why are you going to expand to Vegas and Seattle? And it's about to get worse because LeBron is about to leave.
Dell?
It's another very generic one. I could see Dell talking about. I mean, Dell talks hoops, but
They do.
all
They
the
do.
shows will talk basketball. This is another generic.
They'll talk Rockets, but will they get into the national headline?
And then
story?
also to say, I don't want to say that it was sensationalized, but to have the big take that this is like the biggest sports topic right now, I'm not sure how many people would think that basketball ratings were the biggest current sports topic.
I think Dell would bring it up.
I think it might be Dell.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I think the NBA ratings is the biggest.
It's a bad take, is what it was.
Big picture issue across sports.
Well, we're done
right now. I would be
That's a
terrified.
bad take, though. The biggest.
I thought you were going to. I
big
see
picture.
Your reasoning. I thought was going to lead you directly to Joe because Joe likes to give.
Yeah, but I'm a little under
outlandish
the.
hot
I'm
takes.
not feeling my best. I'm a little under the
Okay,
weather.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not performing at 100%.
All right, excuse making.
That's a low key outrageous take.
I'm trying to remember. They were discussing. You and Paul were discussing what the biggest story was, and I can't remember what Paul thought it was off the top of my head. But Joe cut in with that the NBA ratings was the worst or the biggest story in sports.
What's crazy though is that like it hasn't led to like TV companies or streaming services spending big money on basketball. So like, why would the NBA care currently while the ratings are down whenever these TV networks are still giving them tons of money to air their product?
I mean, sure, they care. They're concerned.
Sure, long term.
Yeah.
But they're also not hurting yet.
Not they haven't gotten to the point where they have any kind of reason to be hurt by it. They're trying to forward think and do something to prevent something in the future.
And they should be proactive about it.
Right.
Yeah,
Proactive,
I will agree with that. All right, next up.
All right, quote number 4. I mean, what am I watching NBC for? If there's a show I actually care about on NBC, it'll be streaming at some point. Watching first-run network shows is not really a thing for me anymore. I can't remember the last time I sat down and went, oh, it's 8:30, time to watch this. Not how I operate.
Dell?
It feels kind of an old man take.
Well, Dell is very show-driven, but Dell is also very quick to talk about and get into when he watches, and most all of his is either a streaming service or on his time.
I wonder if Dell's too young, though, to have like the whole network programming take.
Well, he's saying he won't do it anymore.
Right, but to have the take, you have to have had it in your like a repertoire at some point. Because he's like, I don't do it anymore. Like, was Dell ever tuning into, you said NBC at 8:30?
Seinfeld?
Dell?
Maybe.
Watching Seinfeld?
Maybe.
Dell doesn't strike me as a Seinfeld watcher. I can't put my finger on it, but Dell doesn't strike me as somebody who watches Seinfeld.
You say he's not in the demographics?
I don't think that Dell's in the demographic for Seinfeld.
I'm
I
just
really
saying,
don't.
like, what was a big net? Because I don't think he watched Grey's Anatomy.
I think he's more likely to watch Grey's than he was Seinfeld. Maybe not.
know.
Maybe he was a Friends guy. I don't know. Maybe he liked Third Rock from the Sun. I think this is Lance.
We're not going to win.
That's
so.
true. Let's just do it, Lance. Hope it's not Dell.
I mean, what am I watching NBC
no!
for? If there's a show I
There it
actually care
is.
about on NBC, it'll be streaming at some point.
This is
Watching
why I
first-run
defer.
Network shows.
This is why I defer. But this is also
not
mop-up
really-
time. This
Yeah,
is wherever
that's
you
why I
let
don't
the
care. Yeah,
exactly.
that's over.
This
This
is
is
where
when
you
you
let
sit
the
in Blake
scrubs have
Bortles.
the shot.
Yeah.
This is when you let the scrubs have the shot. That's why you gave it to me.
This is like
This
those
is
those
this is
insurance
Dubin
commercials
coming
now
in.
where they sit
You
in
know,
the back
yeah,
of
this is
quarterbacks.
mop-up
Sean
duty.
Dubin.
Yeah, this is Dubin coming into the game and mop-up duty. It's a great point. But, I actually like that happened because this gives me more reason to defer whenever shots matter.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I like that happened.
Brandon's always got to pass the
Yeah.
ball. All right, here's to avoid an 0 for 5. I really think that all of you who are waiting for Bobby Slowick to meet his Bastille Day are going to be sad, sad, sad. He's not going anywhere. He's not going to be a head coach, and he's not getting fired by the Texans. I mean, it's 100% not going to happen. I'll put my mama on it. He's not going anywhere.
My mom on it?
Paul.
You think it's Paul? All right, Paul.
I really think that all of
Finally,
you who are
Lance.
waiting for Bobby Slowick to meet
got
his
skunked.
Bastille Day are going to be sad.
No, he's gonna be back
sad,
there.
sad.
Sticks.
He's not
Get
going
off the
anywhere. He's not going to
court.
be a head coach.
What an
and he's
embarrassing.
not
We
getting
mailed
fired
this one
by
in,
the
though.
Yeah, we did.
You were out yesterday. I'm under the weather. Christmas is next week. This
I didn't
was
mind it either.
This was the Cancun who said it.
Oh, for
The Killer
5
Bees.
time.
Yeah, we wanted to end the year
with
on
an
a
0
sour
for 5.
note.
We wanted
Yeah.
to do what
Yeah.
they said would never be done. We would always at least get one.
We were
We did.
embracing the suck, is
Yeah.
what we were doing.
Oh, okay. So unlike the Astros, you're embracing the rebuild.
We're embracing the rebuild.
Okay, you're not trading for Christian Walker in this scenario. Or
we were
signing.
We're rebuilding. We're tanking. All right, Rockets Pelicans yesterday. Rockets, they said they were ticked off, and they played like they were ticked off. A nice win, nice bounce back win after they were ousted from the NIT. What are your big takeaways from the Rockets over the Pels last night? 713-780-3776. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5.
You found the Killer Bees. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Joel Blank and Jeremy Branham.
The Twitch is having a conversation of which network programs that Dell watches. Behannon said he's a Glee guy. Could you see Dell watching Glee? 10 years ago, maybe?
At least, right?
Guess
Yeah,
10?
it's been a while, but it wasn't
Never
on
watched
NBC,
Glee.
I don't think, right? Wasn't
It
it
was
a
on
Fox
Fox.
show? I thought it was a Fox show.
Yeah, I think they're just talking network programs.
Sure.
Though.
Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec. I don't dislike Parks and Rec.
I was going to say, I think Parks and Rec might be something that he might.
I don't think
watch.
so.
No.
No.
Well, if it's an age thing, Mapes is 28 and he watches Parks and Rec.
I don't think it's an age thing.
Okay.
It's just like
I don't think it's an age thing.
Oh, we're going back to demographics?
Yes.
Okay.
Like
More
which
drama than comedy?
Like I think Dell probably would watch
Friday
reruns
Night
of like
Lights?
Martin, you know? Like
I'm
all
not
right.
saying that. I would say
am I wrong?
The views of Jeremy
Am I
Branham
wrong?
do not
Exactly.
necessarily
Do not
reflect those of
Text-
Joe Blake and
text-
Private
text
Gun.
Dell.
Be Joel out on that one.
Am I wrong?
I don't know that he would like Martin.
I'm just gonna
Dell
let
is
you
a
stand out on
Scrubs
that
guy.
ledge.
He likes more like, wasn't there the one like the vampire science fiction? There would be more like a
Oh
science
yeah, he does
fiction
kind of
one.
like those nerdy shows.
Yeah, he's
like
into
Stranger Things. Which who's watching that?
Me.
Yeah,
I know.
say, now
You
you're
said that
gonna-
yesterday.
I
You
know.
said it yesterday. It's
I
an inside
know.
joke. You had to be here. Yeah, I don't think that Dell watches a whole lot of like network programs. Is he watching Friends? Is he
No.
watching The Big Bang Theory?
Doubt
No.
it.
I don't think what I said was wrong.
Wasn't there that one where they were
I
like,
watched Martin.
They
Martin's
were like
great.
average people, and all of a sudden, but that they were really like vampires or whatever.
I don't know what
Are you
you're
talking about the
referring
Teen
to.
Wolf with Michael
No,
J. Fox?
No, I'm not. No,
You know, you could dunk a basketball.
no, but I thought that there was a network program like that. But I
There
would
was a
see
show
Dell
called
as more-
Heroes on NBC, but I don't think that wasn't vampires.
I can't remember the last network program I watched. Like I'll watch some of the sitcoms on Peacock, and I'll stream some of them. Like
Yeah,
as
I
I'm
watched
getting ready
Parks
for
and
bed or
Rec. I
whatever.
watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I don't know if I've
but-
watched a network program
We'll catch
consistently in
like a
20 years.
Dateline or a 20 or one
Yeah,
of
that's
those.
not. I mean, that's
That's
and you're
I
not
mean,
watching
it
it
is-
every week.
It is an on-network programming, but it's not really what we're talking about.
I know.
I remember whenever I was a kid, I was probably like 7 or 8. My mom would make me watch. No, she wouldn't make me watch, but it was on TV and I was in the room. Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 90210.
Really?
They came on back to back on Fox whenever I was like 6 and I was watching this.
I
stuff.
wasn't a 90210 guy, but the Melrose
You're
Place.
more of a Party of Five guy.
No, Melrose Place was not bad though for a while.
Since you
when
like
was
the
the
talent.
last
Good visuals.
when was the last network show that you watched consistently? 713-780-3776.
I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine for me. Which
Seinfeld?
ended
That was a
like
long
3
time
years
ago.
ago.
Because you know me, I'm not a big
I don't-
sports TV.
I don't know. Like, would Yellowstone count? Like that? That's
No,
not
'cause
network
it's-
programming.
It started on
Paramount.
It started on what did it start on? Paramount?
It started on Paramount. I think they streamed it, but now there's like a Paramount channel. At least there's a Paramount channel. on
I
Direct.
wouldn't count it because it didn't start as a network show.
Yeah, network. You're usually thinking about ABC, NBC, CBS,
Fox.
Fox.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe I did like Big Bang. It might have been Big Bang actually.
Which has been over for at least 5 years by
Oh,
now.
for sure.
Because the obviously big or Little Sheldon or whatever had a run after that.
It had to have been Big Bang
Or Young Sheldon.
It was probably Big Bang. So I haven't watched consistently network program show in 5 years.
At least
in 5 years. Yeah. When was the last one for you? 713-780-3776. All right. What'd you think of the Rockets Pelicans yesterday?
It was a good win. I was telling Brian during one of the breaks that the big thing to me, it's a double takeaway from me. From a New Orleans perspective, that's an embarrassment. And they have screwed that franchise, and Zion has helped to screw that franchise. And the way that franchise has been run, it is going to, I think they're going to be bad for a long time. And they've spent money and they've made trades and they look terrible because there's talent on that team that just, they're not playing well. I did not expect the Rockets to blow them out like that. But this is what you look at when you want to be very, very positive about the Rockets and their future and say this is what they can be. When Jalen goes off for the third quarter like he had, when you see that you can get offensive production from your young guys and they're contributing and there's a good blend between them and Dylan Brooks making his shots, and you look at it and go, this is why so many people are so enamored with what could be with this Rockets team. But it's also why I always say fool's gold, and I'm leery of it because of the fact that you just don't get it consistently. But that was a really well played game by the Rockets.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're beating teams that they should beat by 20. Like, if you're going to be a top 5 team in the Western Conference, you should beat bad teams by 20, especially at home. So they did what they needed to do in this game. Jalen Green, you got your Jalen Green heater game, wherever he got hot in the third quarter. He was fantastic in the third quarter, finished with 34. I was most impressed with Jabari. Like, oh, what do you mean? Jabari, 15 points. And I do want to see more rebounds from Jabari. But he's just shooting at a very high clip right now. I saw Boudreaux tweet this out, his stat, so I don't want to steal it without giving credit. Jabari, 45% from 3 in his last 15 games.
Really?
Yeah. And whenever you have that size and you can defend like he
big,
can
yeah.
defend at the 4. Now, I do want to see his rebounding numbers go up, but that's a very unique player. Like, that's a unique player.
That is a special skill set when you have a guy that is supposed to be a 4 and at very best a stretch 5. But if you're stretching like that as a 4-5 and knocking down shots over 40% from 3-point range, that's an impressive stat. That surprises me. I would not think that. I know that when he capitalizes most, it's normally off of dribble penetration when he just gets a chance to catch and shoot. But I still wouldn't have thought it was that high.
Yeah, I think that he's better when he's catching shooting. I don't like him off the dribble.
I talked about the fact that if he's trying to bring it up and he pulls up into that, bringing it up to his own shot, it's terrible.
A lot of people are telling us their last network program. Vermont says that his last network show was 24.
That was Kiefer Sutherland?
I think so.
It was. That was Kiefer.
That was Fox?
Fox, yeah.
Alex says, what about
that's
Friends?
15 years ago at this point.
Behan says that Dell's a General Hospital guy.
I can't see that.
90210 is Peak Television. That's what I said. Couple on the text line, NCIS and SEAL Team. I never really got into the NCIS.
That feels like a show for people of a certain age.
And there's a lot of them, right? There are like 5 or 6 of them.
I mean, I say that, and Joe is one of those people that watches like all the network Chicago shows.
I was just going to tell you that I did too. I still watch Chicago PD if I catch it when it's on.
I don't get it.
So Texter says Reba. Have you ever watched an episode of Reba?
No.
It is so bad.
Is that the new one?
I think it's the old one.
She's had multiple.
That's the old one. There's a new one now with Reba
Yeah.
called something else that it's been on the TV, and I've seen it.
I haven't.
I think it's on Friday nights.
I haven't watched a second. The old Reba sitcom was atrocious. My wife would watch it from time to time. Like, I think I want a divorce after she turned that on. Are you kidding me?
There are definitely some shows my wife watches, like How Are We Married?
There's a movie she likes that is
Who you telling when she watches 1,000-Pound Sisters?
Oh, God.
I thought that was your show.
No.
I thought you liked that one.
No.
Lance from Galveston.
The one my wife watches that I think I need to ask for a divorce for is, remember the show The Nanny?
Yes.
Yes,
with
Fran
Drescher.
Drescher. Yes.
Her voice is
shoot me. But she loves that show.
Oh, I couldn't stand her voice.
I know.
I couldn't watch that show for more than 5 minutes.
It's like, if you want to watch it, fine, but I'm going in the other room.
Yeah, she had the East Coast accent and then the laugh.
It was high pitched.
Yeah, it was awful.
How was she on TV?
That show ran for like 6 years, too. It wasn't like it was a one and done.
My goodness. All right, DJ Bieniemy, he's got a great voice. He'll be joining us from Arrowhead, from Kansas. Actually, I don't think he's in Arrowhead, but he's in Kansas City. I'll get his thoughts on the big game tomorrow between the Texans and the Chiefs. It is the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. DJ, we'll get into football quickly here. DJ Bieniemy, ESPN, ESPN.com, covers the Texans. But first I want to ask you, we were just talking about what was the last network TV shows we watched, like ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. I haven't watched a network program consistently. Like, you're watching it every week for about 5 years. Blankers was like 15 years. Brian, I don't think owned a TV. What was the last network show that you watched consistently?
So when we say that, are we including like, hey, it's on TV, but you can also watch it on Hulu right after?
I think if it's a
as
network
long as it's
show,
on one of the major networks.
Yeah, I think if it's a network show, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's okay.
I would say Abbott Elementary.
Okay.
Abbott Elementary.
I
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
show.
So-
I watch
yeah.
that show, but I don't watch it consistently. Like, I'll let them like build up a few shows, and then I'll like watch a few of them at a time. My wife really likes that show too. I actually do like that one. That one is solid, but I don't
But
watch
that's
that
the
one
only one, though.
consistently.
That's like
Yeah.
the only one.
Yeah, it's been a while. Like, I mean, everybody streams now, and the good shows are like on other networks. But Abbott Elementary is a good call. I do like that show. That one's pretty good. All right, to football, DJ. Thank you for humoring us there for a second. Where do you stand on the whole rest guys with 3 games to play? Texans 3 games in 11 days. Seeding is in play, but kind of not really. Where's your stance on that?
I would say it just really comes down to if you win tomorrow. If they beat the Chiefs, then like you got to try to get to. That's where you get 12 wins, and you can see where the chips lie. Because if you beat the Chiefs, then you beat the Ravens. Right now you're at 12, and there's a chance you can get all up to the 3 seed. I'm not saying. I mean, I highly doubt you can get to where Buffalo is, the 2 seed, mainly because Buffalo. I mean, granted, yeah, you beat them, but Buffalo, they got the drucks of the AFC East left. They got Bills, Jets, Bills. I mean, at that point, they could have
Patriots.
you, me.
They got Patriots.
And, you and me suit up, and we'll be able to win some games for the Bills. So I think that, but you never know. You never know. Again, it's football. Funnier things do happen. The defense hasn't been as good as lately, but again, like, you never know. But again, like, if you win tomorrow, it changes the match for you. It gives you possibilities and things to play for. But if you lose, I think you can focus on resting guys for week 18, maybe like a half, maybe a quarter, then go from there. Because I think at that point you're kind of locked in to the 4 seed, unless like Pittsburgh completely collapses and you beat the Ravens, then things get a little bit different. But I would say the only game I could really see about resting is that game. But I think the Ravens game, you got to win that game for your own psyche. Because that team is, they ended it. They started and ended your season with L last year. And I know that a lot of the moves you made was to close the gap between the top tier teams, which were the Chiefs, Ravens, and obviously Bills. You beat the Bills. Now you get a chance to beat the Ravens. Beat the Ravens and the Chiefs coming up soon.
So I'm curious, DJ, are we locked in now that this is our offensive line for the rest of the season? I know that, we've had discussions and you had mentioned, look, if Kenyon Green comes back, we all know he can run block. Would he ever factor in again? But now that they've made this kind of more drastic move and moved Titus and Fisher's getting the tackle spot, is this what we're going to see the rest of the way? Is this consistency wise now just play them together, have them build more chemistry, and we're going to roll with these 5?
Yeah, I would lean that way mainly because, fair or not, Blake technically is a D'Amico and Bobby guy, right? Like, they actually drafted him. Kenyon Green was part of a different staff. Again, it's still the same GM, but Kenyon Green was part of a different staff. Titus is effective enough at left guard from a pass blocking standpoint, where it's enough of an upgrade over Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green's run blocking and pass blocking. Now, I'm not saying he's a better run blocker than Kenyon Green. I don't think that. But I think that when you factor in both sides, it's enough to where you can say it's an upgrade. And Blake held his own a little bit against Chop Robinson, even though he gave him a couple of sacks, a sack and a few pressures actually. But I think he held it down effectively enough. So I could see that. I still don't think it's good enough because they can't run the ball. And I think that to win in December, they're going to have to, in January, they're going to have to be able to run the ball, man. I think that the offense passing-wise is kind of plateaued. hey, this is what you're going to see for the rest of the season. There's no reason to think that you're going to see something different, right? Like, there's no reason to think that. Why? You know what I'm saying? We've seen this offense the entire season, right? So if they can't run the ball, they're the ineffective offense, and it's simple as that. So I think that I still think it's going to be Titus for the foreseeable, but if they go back to Kenny, I think that'd be a smart move because for them to get to where they want to get to, they're going to need to run the ball. And right now, since Kenny's been out, it's either Joe rushes over 100 or he rushes for under 50. Right against Miami, he couldn't get much going, and it's not like Joe all of a sudden is slowing down. No, there aren't as many running lanes. So I think to me it's pretty clear. But again, like Kenny Green isn't one of their guys. They lost all faith and trust in him, and it is what it is.
Yeah, hope probably is the only thing that you'd be hoping for because of the passing attack. But I agree. Like, they've shown us all year what they are offensively. I agree with you that it'd be foolish to kind of expect it to change. But what do you think is the biggest reason as to why? Because, there's some opinions out there about C.J. Stroud. His production is down, but has he regressed? Is it all the offensive line's fault? Is it Bobby Slowick? How would you assign value to those three things as to why the passing game is disappointed?
Yeah, I would say, a combination of Stephon getting hurt, the interior offensive line struggling with stunts the entire season. That has affected CJ, obviously, because last year he had a lot of clean pockets. He was 16th in pressure rate to the quarterback under pressure, but he had the third longest time to throw, which speaks to, okay, he was getting clean pockets last year. And, when he has clean pockets, he can really dissect you. He just needs time to kind of get through, because he wants to push the ball down the field. Like, I had one coach tell me that game planning is he's not necessarily a rhythm passer, and he can be, but he's more of a guy that wants to get the big plays, and you got to give him clean pockets to do that. And obviously the pockets haven't been like that this year. Then obviously the receiver room outside of Nico with Steph being hurt, it's kind of been, it is what it is. Like, guys haven't necessarily made a lot of plays for various reasons. And then again, I would say, CJ's accuracy has been a tad bit off. And that happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, in year two, I remember I was watching Cam Newton on first day. You made a really good point about it. When you're a rookie, you have a great first year, you want to outdo that. But sometimes it's hard to outdo that because that might not be your natural progression. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you kind of got to stay around that same vicinity and that same breath. And then you eventually pop, right? For most guys, it's year three when they really, really pop. Josh Allen popped year three. Jalen Hurts, Tua. Yes, you have these guys like Lamar and Mahomes who popped year two, popped the first year as a full starter, but those guys are the anomaly. Most guys pop year three. You know what I'm saying? I would say even like year 3 or 4. I think Deshaun, even, I know that's not a name everybody want to talk about, but I think his best years were year 3 and 4. Obviously, 2020 was his best physical season. Because that's at that point, that's when you've seen the majority of defenses that you're going to see. Because think about it, like, he's seen defenses this year that he hasn't seen before, right? Like, or like, so, teams, he's seen only variations of it, right? Like, and now teams have film on him. Like, this year was the first time I've ever seen a Brian Flores defense. This is his first year ever seen Anthony Weaver defense that he saw last week, right? It's the first time he's seen a lot of too high, so he's having to learn how to work through all that while also the interior offensive line hasn't been good enough to give him that protection. I feel like off the edges, he's fine. Like, if you get pressure around him off the edges, that's not going to affect him as much. But pressure up the middle that's most quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that this is a combination of a bunch of things, and just an inability to consistently week to week run the ball.
DJ, is it fair to say that this game could come down to the two offensive lines? Because Orlovsky, I'm sure you've seen it, but Orlovsky was big on the fact that the Chiefs are going to feed off of the fact that they're going to have their way with the internal offensive linemen of the Texans. But on the flip side, the Chiefs are in a similar predicament where they are playing musical chairs with their linemen, and the way that they have been getting home and putting pressures on a quarterback, especially if Mahomes is less than 100%, it seems to me like the obvious thing to look at is whoever's offensive line blocks better is going to have a huge advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the game will come down to that. As simple as that, right? Like, Daniil and Will, both top 7 in sacks, Texas second in sacks, top 3 in pressure rate, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Chiefs have the boogeyman and Chris Jones, right? Like, this is probably the worst matchup that the Texas O-line versus their the opposing D-line will see the entire year easily. Mainly because
Quinnen Williams would like to have a word.
Yeah, well, I would say this is probably worse. I don't think it'd be the same result. It probably won't be the same result, but it'll be worse because Chris Jones is better than Quinnen Williams, and Steve Spagnuolo is a better DC than Jeff Ulbrich. So I think it could be, even though CJ, whatever, had a bunch of, he was under pressure constantly throughout that day. I think it could feel worse in this matchup because Steve will be able to, I think he'll do a good job or a decent job of limiting Nico, and then that'll be that. Like, it could be in that situation where it's like, oh, man, what do we do? Because in that game, they still ran the ball effectively. The Jets did. The Texans did against the Jets. If they can't run the ball, it could be a long, long, long day. Because the Jets game was kind of weird, though, because, like, they still had moments where they got to the red zone and, like, CJ fumbled because Kenny Green or whatever, or missed field goal, or, I think Tommy missed, like, 2 field goals that game or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that one was a weird game where you can pinpoint, like, plenty of plays where that could have been a blowout, right? If CJ doesn't fumble in the red zone because of Kenny Green missed block, and they score a touchdown to get 3, let's say the 2 field goals turn into points, like, that whole tenor of that game is vastly different against the Jets, because the Jets would have packed it up, right? Where this game, you know what I'm saying, like, Chris Jones can really wreck stuff, but you flip it, the Texas D-line can put Mahomes under a lot of pressure, and if they can do that, we could be looking at a 2017 game. The issue is the Texans want to be the team that's up by a bunch, that is up, that's up, right? Because you don't want to keep it close against Mahomes. Because you keep it close, they'll find a way to get it done. They've been doing that the entire year, and there's no reason to think that they won't do that. But I do think it's funny because I don't think the Texans have given up, if my math is correct, I don't think they've given up a go-ahead touchdown score outside of, I think, maybe like the Tennessee game. Usually if it's like the last drive, like they usually nail it shut. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee game was a little different, but I think the majority of the season they haven't given up. Anytime there's opportunity, they shut the door.
DJ, I hope you packed that old New York winter clothes for the trip to Canada. How cold is it supposed to be during the game tomorrow?
I have it packed. I'm not looking forward to it, but I have it packed.
What's the weather report?
Yeah, it's going to be how cold?
I think right now, the way it's looking, I mean, I landed in the 20s. It's 28 right now. Tomorrow, it should be, unfortunately, a high of 37.
Okay.
But by kickoff be like in the 30s. That's not too bad. I played in a 30-degree weather game. If you put on a long sleeve, you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Is it going to be dry? Because, I mean, wet 30 is different than a dry 30, as we all know as athletes.
Yeah, it'll be dry. Okay. It'll be dry.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, DJ, enjoy Kansas City and that mediocre barbecue.
I might try it out soon. I'm writing a story on the Neil Will, but after that, I'm going to try some barbecue, and we'll see. We'll see how good it is. But I do got to burn it off once I get back.
All right, we'll report back next week. It's not bad, actually. Kansas City barbecue is not bad. It's not as good as Texas, but it's pretty good. DJ, we'll talk to you down the road.
Overrated.
What's that?
Texas barbecue is overrated.
There you go. Oh, hang up on that guy. I was going to thank DJ for coming on. I was going to wish him a Merry Christmas. But if he says that sort of blasphemy, he gets hung up on. He would understand
every
that.
bit of that.
Yeah, he gets hung up on if he's saying that. You kidding me? Texas barbecue is overrated? We may never have DJ on the show again.
I know my car wreck of the day nominee.
Yeah.
Why? Overrated?
That was an
He needs to
awful
end up on
take.
Thursday next week also. Well,
Overrated?
We have a show.
Wow.
I wonder what he thinks is good. We're gonna have to talk further about this.
Well, I know he went to Louisville, so maybe he's Memphis barbecue.
I was going to say Memphis.
That's not
is where I
that
was
close
gonna
though,
throw
right?
out.
Like
I've
Louisville,
never been
Kentucky.
to Kansas
I was trying to think of what
It's
the
pretty good. They're like more burnt ribs.
But I was very underwhelmed in Memphis.
Yeah, Memphis does more vinegary base, right? And it's a little bit more like pork.
Yeah,
Kansas City barbecue is good. I will say, especially their burnt ends. It's kind of what they specialize in. It's not as good as Texas barbecue though. I'm questioning DJ's food takes now. I really am. I'm gonna have to ask him next week what he thinks is good. Like, what are his favorite foods? What are his favorite things around town? Because now I seriously question almost everything he says. And I also think his bad food takes may carry over to football now. I don't know. Like I always believe him in football. Like I respect his work a great deal. But now that he had that to say about Texas barbecue, I'm not sure I can believe him in anything.
Is he Dana Brown level of not believing him?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
At least with food.
Yeah, okay.
At least with food.
All right.
Across the landscape of life, I don't know.
Was there a more offensive food take he could have said to us just now that
Not
Texas
really.
barbecue is overrated?
The only thing that could be close is if he said that Tex-Mex is overrated.
Yeah, I was thinking
like
that.
Dalton Schultz said that. Dalton Schultz, like he said he doesn't
Get
like
him out of
Tex-Mex. Why'd they
Oh my
re-sign that
God.
bum?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no wonder he plays lazy and soft. You don't like Tex-Mex. You
Take
can't
your
trust a
net
guy that likes
beret and
Tex-Mex.
everything and get the hell out of here and your lack of effort once you catch the football.
Those are the worst two food takes you can have in Houston.
Oh, no doubt.
That Texas barbecue is overrated, and that Houston Tex-Mex is not good.
I agree.
Those are the two worst. I don't think there can be any worse than that.
Yeah, what else
that's at the
food-wise
top.
would you even have close
That's
to
it.
that?
I mean, that's it.
I don't know if I would have it close, but if he had anti-Kalashi takes, I might have
don't know
some
that-
a fist. But I mean, that's that
fist.
I mean,
it might be the Shipley's take.
Nah,
I'm not going down the hill. Shipley's.
that's up there. That's probably
It is.
in the
There's
Mount
a lot of people.
Rushmore.
Shipley's and Whataburger are very passionate discussions.
I think Shipley's is overrated.
I know, but I'm just saying. Texans defend Shipley's.
I know, but
and
I don't get
Texans
it. They do.
defend Whataburger hard.
Born and
They
raised here, but I don't get the Shipley's defense.
They're-
It's not that good.
I like Shipley's donuts. I do.
It's
You can
fine.
find better donuts.
Exactly.
I think the same thing with Whataburger. I like Whataburger a whole lot. I think you can find better burgers. You can find, and plus Whataburger sold out. Like let's not.
That's true.
ignore
They did
that.
sell about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, let's not ignore that. All right, 713-780 ESPN. Let's get to our favorite storylines against Kansas City, and also what you thought of Thursday Night Football between the Chargers and the Broncos. It is the Bees, ESPN 97.5. And if you want to blast DJ, that's fine too. 713-780-3776. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5.
Coming to you live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Killer Bees.
On ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Here's Joel Blank and Jeremy Branham.
ESPN 97.5 Christmas party right around the corner. Monday. It's Monday. Join us in Nick's Place, December 23rd. That's Monday. For all the partying and games from John and Lance in the morning through the Killer Bees, come hang out with us. Get the Christmas week started right. 713-780-ESPN. We'll get into our favorite Chiefs-Texans storylines in a minute, but let's roast DJ Bean-A-Me for a little bit. Texter, more like DJ being a nay. Am I right? That's not a good one. Not the best joke there.
No.
I don't really
That's
like
not even
that
Joel worthy of it. That kind of
that was not
That's
very
bad.
good. Ryan, hot food take. The best donuts and kolaches in Houston are found in the hole-in-the-wall Vietnamese bakeries. You know, I don't think I've tried that, actually.
I have not either.
Have you partaken in that at all, Brian?
Midtown, I've heard that, but I have not partaken.
I love me some Vietnamese food, though. Give me a little bit of pho. What do they call the vermicelli bowls? Am I pronouncing that right? Those are amazing. Those smack. I love me a good vermicelli. How do you not like vermicelli? Vermicelli is great.
You're trying to trend more youthful by saying that smacks.
I heard from
Where'd
the kids.
you hear that from?
Well, actually, a long time ago. Okay. I heard a couple of years ago that it's not that food smacks and music slaps.
Right.
But food smacks. Like if you're saying that food slaps, you got it all wrong.
I can understand that because you're always smacking your lips if the taste is really good. Yeah.
I don't know if that is the origin of that, but it might be.
That's
pretty good.
I don't know.
That's pretty.
Sounds reasonable.
That's a pretty good origin story.
Sounds reasonable.
That's a pretty good. I think you might be
and
right.
Your hand
Actually,
is slapping on the music.
Okay, you lost me there.
Now
you
we're
ruined
fully
it.
out.
You went too far.
Your hand slapped. We were doing it with the.
I think you should
bump
stop.
back music.
I think you should. A lifelong Texan. I'm also a sauce guy. Kansas City barbecue better. Okay, never text the show again.
Yeah.
I like a good little smoke and smoke flavor. Like I don't despise sauce, but to give me like high quality barbecue, I don't want the sauce.
I think that it's always the discussion is always if it's good enough, you don't need sauce. And I always believe that Texas barbecue is always so good because you don't need sauce for it. It's flavored right and it tastes great all by itself.
If it's done right, it doesn't need sauce. I will agree some sauces can enhance, but it shouldn't have to have sauce if it's done right.
Yeah. Lance would like a word about Texas barbecue. Maybe DJ had Lance's barbecue, and that's why he thinks barbecue is overrated in Texas. DJ
well
needs
done.
to
Forget about burnt ends. The whole
like
thing was burnt.
Yeah.
I saw Lance tweet the other day that he went to Champ's Burger for the first time in his life.
I thought he was a foodie.
That's why I think he's a
that
faux foodie. Champ's Burger has been around forever. Like, might be my whole life. They're so good. It's the first time he's ever been there, and he calls himself a foodie? I'm calling BS. His brisket, his Champ Burger, like first ever time.
I'm going to ask the follow up then to you specifically, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Have you been to Trillburger yet?
I've not.
Okay.
No, but that's not. That hasn't been around.
I know it hasn't been around.
It hasn't been around 30 years, and it's also long lines. I'm anti-crowd.
It's not that bad anymore.
What's that?
It's not that bad anymore.
Nick Scurfield sets up so many different shows and. He's always sending, and I forget who the last host was that said that they hadn't had Trillburger, and it was there the next day. Well, where's ours?
Yeah, I haven't had.
Nick, Jeremy hasn't had Trillburgers.
Yeah,
Bring it up
been
to our
very
next
high
show.
on my list. I keep telling you guys when we keep talking
you haven't
about
been there
food
either?
takes. No, I've never been.
I'm
there.
the only one of us three that has.
You are.
Okay.
I mean, you have to give us some time, though. Like, we have family and kids.
I have family and kids.
Yeah, but you like to eat more than we do.
And I'm also highly challenged by the fact that I've also been highly challenged by the fact that my wife and kids don't eat burgers.
I'm also 30 pounds overweight. I'm kidding.
Oh,
Pena Donut Heaven in Pearland is great. I have had that place.
Donut
they're
Heaven's
also
good.
They're Cougars.
Are they?
Yeah, they're Cougars there. Yeah, go Cougs. Yeah, they are. They are very good as well. Now I can picture in my head is Joel slapping the bass.
I just pound your hand on the table, whatever. On the West Coast, when you travel, they say the greatest donuts in the country are Voodoo Donuts.
There's one here
actually
now.
had a
Voodoo in Portland.
There's one here.
I've had one in Seattle.
Is there one here
There's
now?
the Voodoo Donuts here. I've been to it. It's pretty good.
I think there's too much going on, quite frankly. Like, I'm pretty simple with my food. I'm a keep it simple, stupid guy, pretty much specifically. I feel like whenever you have really good food, you just do the simple, very good. Like a good steak. You just do the simple steak better than anybody. Good barbecue, best brisket, very simple. Voodoo has so much stuff on their donuts.
Is that right?
Yeah, they have like sprinkles. They have like, these
Pieces
different
of
types
candy
of
or whatever.
frosting.
Yeah.
There's too much going on.
Cereals, whatever. Yeah, they have lots of bacon. They have tons of different variations.
I think the original, before they kind of branched out, is in Portland.
That is correct.
They wait
That is correct.
overnight sometimes to try to get to those donuts.
Oh,
But,
yeah,
like,
very
there's-
popular.
I think the one here is it might be on Montrose, but it's in that sort of area.
Pit Rome is criminally underrated. Yeah, Pit Rome's great. Pit Rome's very, very good. Round Rock Donuts is the best donuts in the world. I did that when we went to Kalahari. I think I butchered that name. Kalahari.
that's right,
I think it's Kalahari.
Kalahari.
I said Hira or something. I don't know, whatever. Round Rock Donuts, very good. Now, I don't like the frosting. Like the actual donut itself is very good. The frosting I could do without, but it's massive. It's like huge donut. It is very good. I agree with the texture there. I've lived in the Houston area since the 90s and never heard of Champs Burgers. Okay, well, you're not a foodie. Champs Burgers is great. It's in the hood. It has a little walk-up,
There's
little
only one?
trailer. Yeah, there's only one Champs Burger. I had a Champs Burger probably 3 months ago. Very good. It's pretty close to U of H.
I was going to say, is it near the campus?
Kinda. I mean, it's on that side of town. All right, 713-780 ESPN. Let's go out to the HRP listener line. Damon, you're in the hive with the bees. What's up, Damon?
I had it in today, sir. Gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
I just wanted to talk about I guess y'all talking about Tex-Mex and I guess you said Texas barbecue was overrated, or DJ said that?
Yeah, you said barbecue.
Just being a local Texan, born and raised here, man, I grew up on a lot of different Texas barbecue, you can say that, man. But Papa's barbecue, well, back in the day was kind of right, man. I'm going to say it's the best, but I'm on a cook-off team. It's called Triple B Cookers, and we have like called the beef ribs. When so I know people say they put sauce in the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't really need salt, and they can put this rub on it, man, and it's straight like beef ribs, man. And these people were just tearing it up, man. They're like, oh, it's a good beef rib. You want more, not the baby back rib, man, but you want like a good rib and all
like
that.
Like a dino rib, the beef rib?
I mean, sir?
Like the dino rib, the big giant beef rib? Yeah.
So it's called the beef rib. You can say beef rib. So, and that's what we used to have cooked over there on all the time in our booth and all that, man. I mean, and it's a lot of so much different barbecue because people from different areas will come down and join the Houston Rodeo. So basically we're in the big Houston Rodeo one, and I mean, you have all different people from all parts of the world, but it's good to see competition, man. Just you want to see the best of the best. From Texas barbecue,
Damon, this is Joel. Have a happy holiday, man.
Was that an advertisement? Did we get duped into an advertisement for his barbecue team?
Damon, love you, Damon. Call back anytime.
The topic on our call screener that the intern got was Papacitos, and he went into his barbecue team.
He said Papacitos is overrated,
Which it is.
which is what he wanted to talk
but-
about. Okay, you only got so long. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think Papacitos is great.
I love
It's fine. I
Papacitos,
just
and
don't think it's the people label it as the best in Houston. I don't see it as that.
I think it's fair to say it's not the best,
Yeah.
but to say it's
Like,
not
I would-
great.
It's really, really good.
I
love
would
the
take
beef.
original
Queso's good,
Nifas.
too.
I would take original Nifas.
Sure.
I would take Lupe Tortilla over it.
Oh, I'm not taking Lupe.
And I think
Probably not me either. Yeah, I think it's. I like El Tiempo.
Let's say
That's very good.
I think I'd put Papacitos 4 behind
And-
those
and
three.
you can
I like
find some good
salsa, the red salsa.
It's really good, really good salsa. I like, and their chips are very
Their
good.
chips are
Great
fantastic.
compliment to
Yep,
the salsa.
yep.
Great. I don't go to Papacitos a ton because it's very highly priced, and I think you can find some hole in the wall spots that are
Agreed.
also very good.
And they were the one to capitalize on it because everybody, when they started getting into the whole go to Houston for Tex-Mex, Papacitos was getting all those best ratings and best
They
in
also
Houston.
position themselves well to be
very
like
good.
next to airports, next to across the street from Energy Park. They put themselves in areas that were highly trafficked by out of towners as well.
It's brilliant.
Smart.
Like,
Yeah,
you're saying that like it's a bad thing,
No,
Brian.
I mean Joel was talking about how when people started coming here for
When the
Tex-Mex,
Houston
I think it was
press used to
smart
always have their awards and
Yeah,
whatever, and then they raised their prices because everybody wanted to go to Papacitos if you wanted Tex-Mex.
Yeah, they smartly positioned themselves in those trafficked areas.
Yeah, I still give me their beef fajita. Their beef fajita is so good.
I don't really care for it. And we've talked about this. I don't like Chewy's red salsa. I don't like.
It's kind of mid.
I like Lupe Tortilla's red salsa, but I really
don't really want.
But
red
I
salsa
really
usually.
like Papacitos.
I haven't had Lupe in a while. I might have to give them another try. I haven't had it in probably
Lupe's
years.
great.
Probably
I love
4
it.
years, maybe.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
I'll have to give it
They
another
just never
shot.
get our order right.
All right, give me one favorite storyline because we hijacked the segment. One and quick.
I mean, I think to me, it's what I said to DJ. I think the storyline is going to come down to the offensive lines because as much as everybody has been pouncing and rightfully so on the Texans line all year, the Chiefs line is banged up. They're playing musical chairs with their linemen, and I think that the Texans could have a really big advantage, especially with a less than 100% Mahomes. I'm really curious as to how disruptive the pass rush can be this week because I think they can take advantage of the Chiefs line.
My favorite storyline is Charles Omenihu. See
Oh,
what
that was
Charles
big, yeah.
See what Charles Minihue had to say about the Texans.
I still need to edit that.
He
'cause
said,
there's a curse word
he
in
said,
it.
I don't bad word with them.
Yeah, I don't F
I'm
with
really
them,
looking
yeah.
forward to this game. I didn't realize he hated the Texans.
I didn't
like
realize
that.
It didn't end well here.
I didn't
But then
realize
I was listening to John and Lance this morning, and Lance said that when JJ was really hypercritical back in the day of how like certain guys were just not practicing and they weren't the right kind of guys for that locker room, that he was one of those guys.
Yeah. He was very complimentary of JJ. And whenever I watched this interview, it was like 10 minutes talking about his time with Houston. One big storyline for you. Mine's on Minihue and breaking Mahomes' leg.
Can they run the ball with Joe Mixon? Because if they can't run the ball, then everything, obviously, with everything that comes along, they're protecting C.J. Stroud, being able to set up the pass. I think that falls apart if they can't run the ball with Joe Mixon. They haven't run the ball well in like 3 out of the last 5 games.
Yeah, those are good ones. Theo Thiquan on Airline, I know I butchered that, is hands down the best Tex-Mex. I challenge y'all to try. I've been there once. It was very good. All right, 713-780-ESPN. Beezy Money. Killer B is going to hand out winners next. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5.
Hey, one more time before we hit the weekend, but just a quick note for Doc Linville. If you are looking for the perfect gift for yourself or you want your loved ones to take care of you this Christmas season, I would recommend that you go and check out Doc Linville and his staff and see what he can do for you if you're experiencing hair loss. If you have thin pattern baldness, if you have thinning hair and you don't think there's anything you can do, it's just going to eventually fall off and be fading away. I'm telling you right now, Doc Linville has solutions. It's your own hair. It'll be the same color, grow the same way. He gets results for just about everybody that comes his way. He does plastic surgery, spot treatments, and Botox, and so much more if you're looking for other ideas over the holidays. But the one that really takes care of you is all of the ways that he can get your hair back. And it works. And I'm here to tell you from living proof, because I went and did both the PRP treatments and I did the NeoGraft procedure. I've gotten extraordinary results. I just put the hat on, but I had the hat off the entire show, and you could see how much more hair I have than before I did the procedure. The NeoGraft is a game changer. It is going to change the way you look, and it is fantastic. And you get free information from Doc and his staff and a consultation that goes with it, like I got, simply because you listen to me. If you listen to me and you want to talk to him, go to 975hair.com, sign up for a free consultation. People off the street are paying $150. You get it for free. Go in and let them explain it all to you, and then ask questions, get answers, and start thinking about, hey, new year, new me. Do I really want to try and get my hair back and really change my outlook and my appearance and my self-confidence? I recommend you do it and have the consultation, because it costs you nothing. No signing on a dotted line or money out of pocket, just you getting information that might be a game changer in terms of your hair and your appearance. Check them out today and tell them I sent you by. Go to 975hair.com.
Oh, yeah. Beezy Money, we hand you some winners. All right. We're going to sell to you 2 games apiece. We're going to win tons of money for you. Blankers currently leads the way, by the way. 14-9-1 on the year. I'm in second, 13-11. Brian barely makes the podium at 10-13-1. We're up $60 on the year. 2 weeks ago, we were 1-3-1, lost just $75. But don't pay attention to that.
We could have had another win, but you guys monopolized the time and skipped me.
That's right. We did monopolize the time. And we would have won 6-0 last week had we done it. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, we went 6-0 last week. Probably would have won $600. All right, Blankers, what's the first game that you're selling to us?
First game I'm selling you is in the AFC South. Indianapolis, after the embarrassing loss last week at Denver, is still trying to stay alive in the playoff push. They're at home where they do play better. Tennessee, without your boy Will Levis, offensively seems to be in disarray. Colts are giving up 3.5. I prefer that number at 3, but I like the Colts to win by at least 5 or 6. I take the Colts at home against Tennessee.
This game has me feeling nervous because the Titans made the change on Christmas week to Mason the red-nosed quarterback Rudolph. There's just too much in play there. There's just too. I don't care about the joke. It's not about the joke. It's about how it's Christmas
I'm glad it's not
week.
about the joke because it wasn't.
We're around Christmas and they're making the move to Rudolph. I believe in these kind of things. I'm fading this game.
I'll back Joel on this one. I also don't love it at 3.5, but Mason Rudolph, you mentioned making the start. It's on the road. Tony Pollard's banged up and nursing an ankle injury. Doesn't look like he's going to play, or at least be limited. So I'll take Indy minus 3.5 at home.
All right, how much y'all putting on it?
How much you want to go?
25?
25 is good.
Y'all hate Christmas.
No, we went 25 because it's like Christmas is on the 25th. So to kind of reverse the curse,
we're sticking with the theme.
25.
We're sticking with the theme.
Theme of bad jokes?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Y'all are Grinches. Can't believe they are going against Rudolph this close to Christmas. It is embarrassing. All right, first game that I'm going to sell to you guys. I don't believe in rookie quarterbacks in their very first game that they're starting in their NFL career. And I know Atlanta's playing a hack of a team. I know that they're playing the Giants. I don't even know who's starting for the Giants. Is it DeVito? Is it Drew Lock? I don't know.
I think it's Lock. I think it's Lock.
Even better. Drew Lock starting for the Giants. Michael Penix, rookie game. They're favored by 8.5 in his debut start. Giants, wrong team. No, I think Atlanta wins this game.
That would be a hot take.
Atlanta wins this game.
That'd be a hot take.
But I don't think that they cover the 8.5 points. It's actually up to 9.5 some places, by the way, which I think that I'm going to take advantage of that. Atlanta minus 9.5.
Is it on ESPN?
It was on where I placed my bet.
Oh, no. We got to use ESPN here. What is it on ESPN?
It was 8.5 when I put it in the rundown this morning.
Okay, I could have changed
between
Giants.
Now and then. I'm going. Well, I played it at 9.5. I got 9.5 in this game, but we'll stick to ESPN. That's fine. That's consistent. I'll take the Giants plus 8.5 over the Falcons.
Atlanta's going to win the game. I don't like that number at all because I'm with you on Penix going to make some mistakes, and that was when we were talking about the Cousins-Penix angle of this. I don't like that number. I think that Atlanta's going to win. I don't like it by that number at all, so I'm gonna stay away from it.
Yeah, I just checked it out of curiosity if he had moved. It's still minus 8.5, and I think
got a good number on it. Then
I think you did. I think that's too much for Atlanta. Honestly, I mean, even if they had a great quarterback right now, it feels like too much because I just don't trust. I don't know. I just don't trust them to win by that big of a number. I would go Giants plus the points as well.
All right. How much are we betting on the Drew Lock-led Giants as they try to suck for the number 1 pick in the draft?
I don't want to bet much on Drew Lock.
Me either. 20-25?
Yeah, that's fine. I think the last time we did this, we bet big on a lot of these, and it backfired.
I gave him an option. You're like my wife. I gave him an option A, option B, and he said that's fine.
That's exactly my wife. She will never make a decision.
Do you want option A? Do you want option B? Yeah.
I didn't say
Which one?
I said that's fine.
Same thing. Do you want 20 or 25? That's fine.
Oh, I guess I didn't hear you.
That's not an answer.
I didn't hear you. I'll go 25.
All right. Thank you. All right. What's the first game you're selling to us?
Jeez. All right. I'll make this short and sweet so we can make sure we get all these in. Cincinnati minus 9. The Cleveland starting DTR. They're on their backup running backs. They're on the road. Cincinnati's motivated. Give me Cincinnati. Win huge. Can cover the 9-point spread.
I hate the 9 normally, but DTR and limited resources on Cleveland side, and Cincinnati still has an outside shot, but their offense is really tough to stop. I think Cincinnati will put up points. I don't mind putting the Bengals on this one.
A division game, AFC North tough. I faded it, but I'm okay with 25 on the Bengals.
Cool.
All right, next one, Blinkers.
Next one for me, I've got the Vikings at Seattle. Geno Smith banged up.
You
Geno
hate
Smith is
Geno.
going to try and play. I hate Geno. You're not
More
supposed to
than
be able
love?
to go into Seattle and win. Green Bay did that when it's been a house of horrors for them in the past. I think Minnesota does the same. I think that you're going to see a Brian Flores defense that's going to be all over the Hawks. I think on the flip side, with the way that their offense is clicking with Jefferson and Addison, I think that the Vikings are going to win by more than a field goal.
Wrong team favored. I have Seattle winning this game outright.
Really?
Ooh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm backing Joel again here. Look, I mean, the Seattle, I don't trust Geno. Unfortunately, because it proves my take wrong on DK Metcalf versus JSN. DK Metcalf hasn't done anything since he returned from injury about a month ago. Ken Walker's been in and out of the lineup. I don't trust Seattle here. I would go with Minnesota minus the points.
25 on Mini?
Yeah, I'm
All
fine
right.
with that.
Next game I'm selling to you, Chicago, Detroit. Lions on the road. They're giving 6.5 on the road. Do not care. The Bears are a train wreck. My saying that's a train wreck. Detroit also embarrasses teams. They have no problem embarrassing teams. In fact, I think that they get off on it. I think they like the idea of embarrassing teams. They're willing to run up the score. They'll beat teams by 30. The Lions go into the Windy City, careful saying that, and they destroy the Bears, cover the number. Feedback? Anybody?
I like first.
I like it too. I like the fact that Detroit, even as banged up as they are, found a way to go, blow for blow with the Bills. The only thing I was concerned about was weather. But other than that, I think Detroit can go into Chicago and win by a touchdown. So I'm fine with the Lions.
I do not like golf outdoors. I remember a game Goff played with the Rams going back 5 years now, where if you had him on your fantasy team that day, he got you negative points. So I would personally play Chicago 6.5, but I'm outvoted, so it doesn't matter.
What are we doing here then?
Another 25?
Yeah, let's do it. 25. All right, last game, Brian.
How about them Cowboys? Give me Cowboys +4, the home underdog. Cowboys have actually been playing decently as of late. Won 3 of their last 4, and that one loss was a one-score game against the Bengals in their high-scoring offense. So I think Tampa being a little overrated here. Dallas has been playing really well. They're at home. They got 4 points to play with. Give me Dallas +4.
All right.
Dallas has not been good at home all year. I don't like Dallas because they're not playing for anything, but I'm still not completely sold on Tampa, and Tampa needs to win to hold the 1-game lead in the division. I don't like the Cowboys here. I think Tampa Bay is going to cover.
Yeah, I think it's I faded this game. I don't like either side of it. I think that it's in play. I have Tampa winning this game by 3, which means if I had to bet, I'd be on the Dallas side. But sounds like we're on the fence and Brian's in last place. So it sounds like a DNP to me.
Sounds like that's going to hit.
All right. Coming up next, car wreck of the day. What are the car wrecks of the day you have? 713-780-3776. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5.
This is Ron Ansana with your market scoreboard report on ESPN 97.5.
Stocks staged a solid comeback today, but still effectively down on the week after taking beatings on some disappointment over the Federal Reserve's forecast of fewer interest rate cuts in 2025. Still, some inflation data out this morning that the Fed prefers came in on a rather benign score, and that helped the markets to rally, interest rates to fall, and the market end the week going into Christmas and other holidays on a positive note. The Dow finished up almost 500 points, 498 to be exact, 1.1%, and at 42,840. S&P up 63, just over 1% to 5930, and the Nasdaq similarly up 1%, or 199 points at 19,572. Long-term interest rates edged lower to 4.53%, even despite some skittishness over whether or not there will be a government shutdown starting at 12:01 tomorrow morning. Dollar index weakened on the day. Oil rebounded 13 cents, 69.51 a barrel, and gold bounced $34 to 26.42 the ounce. We're going, of course, into the holiday weekend on a positive note. We'll see what happens in Washington, though, in the next several hours.
All right, what are you nominating for car wreck of the day? 713-780-3776. Don't forget, ESPN 97.5, your home for every single college football game, thanks to ESPN Radio. Starting tonight, Notre Dame, Indiana gets it all started. 6:30 coverage begins later tonight. And then
I'm with you.
Saturday broadcast begins at 11 as we air the next 3 games, including Texas and Clemson. All right, what's your car wreck of the day?
To me, it's the New Orleans Pelicans. That is a rough franchise. They can't do wrong right. They have Zion and that whole debacle. They trade for veterans like C.J. McCollum and DeJounte Murray just to get older and worse, and they're not improving. They had picks. They had opportunities. They are stuck in the mud, and they are a bad basketball team.
Yeah, they're bad. They're really bad. 5 wins. I want to get Brandon Ingram on the cheap. I want him to be a Houston
I think you
Rocket.
could.
I want him to be a Rocket. I'm going to nominate aggregators on Twitter, local ones too. They
Not
just flat
ones
out
that we have on Wednesday.
No, not them. They flat out steal information. Like Streston doesn't do this though. Like these people are flat out copy and pasting like the Passons of the world, and just like sources say tweet without even quote tweeting, without even saying who said it.
Yeah, if I just take whatever they tweeted and retweet it.
Yeah. No, look, they're flat out copy and pasting. They're
And look
saying,
like you're an expert.
they're not giving any and I'm like, I had to mute and unfollow somebody because of it. They were ruining my day. I even want to get to the point where I just say in the comments every time, and tell me if I should do this, source ?
Yeah, I'm fine with
wrong with that.
Should I do that, or should I try to be the maverick of justice here?
You've never shied away from that kind of stuff.
It drives me nuts.
All for it.
Like,
I'm all for you doing that.
you are the one that's reporting the news. You kidding me? All right, I'm going to do that. All right, what do you got, Brian? I'll do it for Christmas.
There's only one winner here. I think we could unanimously say it. It's DJ's Texas barbecue take.
Yeah.
That's my nomination. I think that has to be the car wreck of the day.
If you on the text line, car wreck DJ,
car wreck of the year.
He just disrespected all of Texas with his food take. Not a mean text. First off, Mason Rudolph, the red zone reindeer. There you go. Secondly, Branham and
Doesn't
BMAC.
score much in the red zone.
Y'all being skeptical about my nomination for car wreck of the day is the car wreck of the day. This is Josh from Seabrook. Woody Johnson remember Rudy the story yesterday. Woody Johnson negated a trade for Jerry Jeudy because of his Madden's rating. So he's nominating us for not believing him. I did not believe you. It sounded too fake to believe.
Because of Brick.
And then Brian gets nominated twice for wanting y'all to bet on the Cowboys, and then also for saying that Lupe was better than Papacitos. All right, what's winning?
I stand by both. It's DJ.
I think it's DJ. Yeah,
It's
DJ.
gotta be. Yep.
DJ.
Congrats, DJ.
You're our winner. All right, this is it for us. Thanks to Brian. He's blank on Brandon. We'll talk to you on Monday from Nick's Place. Notre Dame, Indiana, pregame at 6:30. Goodbye, Houston.